All right, so we're gonna load game. I definitely have not been playing off stream. I don't know what you're talking about. We definitely not been doing that. We'll pick up where we left off with Cardtastrophe. Okay. So yeah, so for those, for whatever. I did pick up a couple of mods since you last saw me play. The specific mods I grabbed is I didn't want to deal anymore with going in each day and being like, okay, click here, market the price, mark it up, round, done all that. So I did get, if we look here, I think it's here. Yeah, so here's the mods we got. So basically, it automatically set the prices. It'll automatically turn on off the lights so I don't have to just deal with it. And then faster pack opening. And all you need to know about faster pack opening is I can sit there and say, hey, like, just make it go faster. I'm actually trying to sit there, because I'm not changing, like, I'm not cheating in where we can, like, say, we'll pick, well, I mean, it's not even cheating, it's just whatever, it's you're playing on your own. But, like, making it so I can hold whatever, all that. Literally all I'm doing is saying, hey, let's pick up the speed here a little bit. Because it is a thing that after a while, you just have to do that. What is the fanciest card you've opened so far? On my other save, I have a card worth, I believe, $1,700. This one, I believe, our fanciest card is like 11 or 12. Yeah, about 12. This one, however, I have more value in this one than I do in the other one total. Just the other one, I have one card that's worth more. So we have been working on this. I'm actually trying to remind myself where things are at. Okay, so let's quickly get everything stocked up. Okay. So, on this one, I don't have a warehouse. We are selling the big bundles. We've got all the dice. We've got boxes everywhere. So, what I probably want to do here first... Phone. There we go. I mean, after we pay our bills. One of the things I probably want to do here first is expand our store. Because it's getting a bit cramped in here. We don't have a lot of space to work with. And I definitely want to go and expand our offerings. Oh yeah, I was also going to get the plushies, wasn't I? And the reason I'm saying that is, it would be nice to be able to get a warehouse shelf in here. Because I did that on the other save, and while I'm not making as much money on the other save, because I spent a bunch of money on those nice-to-have things, the warehouse shelf makes it so all these boxes that are getting dumped all over the floor everywhere, constantly and forever by my staff. Not calling names, kind of calling names. That very genuinely what's happening with that is it lets me have them put them back on the shelf. Board games now too good for profit? Interesting. Yeah, and so when we're opening these packs, most of these won't be new. So I'm just gonna cycle through until it says something exciting, like it goes, you got 50 bucks or whatever. It'll stop on those. But all the cheap cards nobody cares about. Just cycle through them. Alright, all of those were hot garbage. I took it because there's just one box in there and I didn't want to deal with it. Okay, those are both full. But as you can see, I've got a problem right now because I don't have warehouse shelves, and without the warehouse shelf, my stock person, whenever they finish stocking, if there's nowhere to put the box, they just drop it on the floor. So I want to deal with that. But part of what's going to be dealing with that is going to be just the, he's going to be just doing that. So I need the individual packs of the orange ones. So let's look here. Oh yeah, and this one I didn't get the better license. The other one, I got just the higher license. I just held out for the higher license on everything. It was just like, I'm not dealing with these individual ones. That is what it is. Let's actually do a quick inventory. Okay, so the individual blue cards, we're doing fine. The blue boxes, we're doing fine. We need individual orange cards and purple cards. We don't have any boxes of any of those floating around, so let's take a look here. Let's grab a box of those, because having extra of those is always a good thing. So we've got just the packs and all that. So let's grab 2 boxes of these. How are we doing? We have the epic card packs. So grab 2 of those. Yeah, and that'll be enough to fill up our shelves. We're good on the dice. Individual cards we get from packs, which I usually just open the spares. Didn't I have... Yeah, so we got the Oh, right, this one we don't have the fancy sleeves. The other one I started unlocking the fancy sleeves instead of the dice and the plushies and all that. I see they've nailed the customer's demographic. Oh yeah, no, you haven't seen it because they've got these things, but they'll have people who walk in with bad BO, and that's what these are, is they spray people when they walk in with deodorant if they're stinky. A real actual problem that card shops deal with. All right, to get all the cards we're looking at is $600 and something. Okay, so we did actually unlock the next plushies. We just haven't bought them. My God, those things are like $500. That's fine. So we got $1,200 to get our next set of plushies on the shelf and to restock our cards. Nothing is urgently low, so it's gonna take me a minute to bring those all back up. And we can go ahead and bundle some cards while we wait, because that's when we get like all our super cheap cards that no one wants. We can just take all those commons that are worth less than $1 and just chuck them in there. Alright. And for those who don't know, you can collect the cards. So on this one, I've got 365 out of 1,320 cards. And so that's what we got going on here is I'm taking all my duplicates and keeping them on display for sale. But yeah, so you actually have like the little tournament thing. One of the things I wish they would add to the game is I would like to see a lot of customization of your store. We'll see how this goes. I wonder... This is one of those games that it's going to go one of 2 ways. Either A, you're going to keep hearing it pop up every time it does like a major update. Yes, that person had bad BO. Oh, did you manage to get past that? Sir. Sir? Yeah, no, it's gonna have to stay there. Please move. I wonder if that'll work. Basically, I want it so it sprays them twice, because it takes 2 sprays to get rid of the body odor. I'm hoping the really powerful ones will handle it for me, and I won't need to do that.
Thank you, Darth Strider 1998, for subscribing for 10 months. Rual, why are you doing a sneaky Friday stream?
Thank you, Darth Strider, for the tier 1 sub. I really do appreciate that. Been subbed to the channel for 10 months. Basically, I've been spending all week saying, hey, we're going to do a sponsored thing on the 4th. Hey, we're going to do a sponsored thing on the 4th. Hey, we're going to do a sponsored thing on the 4th. And then, you know, the 4th came by, and, well, it's like it came to realize the 4th was actually, you know, was Friday. But at that point, like I've been telling absolutely everyone, I was going to do a thing on the 4th. And so it's like, well, crap. That includes we have a sponsored segment later in the stream. And I've been telling even the sponsor that my intentions were to stream today and on the 6th, because I have 2 segments with them. 1 hour, like, they paid for 1 hour each one, and then it's, I can choose to play longer, certainly. All right. Yeah, so the problem I'm running into right now is I need to restock my stuff, and it's a lot of money, and I need a lot of money to do that, because that's how that works. So we do need to be making more money, because the problem is some of these things, like the plushies and the dice, they're actually pretty decent money. The problem is it's effectively just a lot of cash, because that's $35 each, versus these are like $3 each. So selling one of these, the equivalent of selling 11 or 12 of those. So they're really, really good if you just sell a couple of them. You get really solid cash out of it. But they also cost a lot of money. So like, we actually look at the cost of these things. So if we look at the figurine, so for 12 of them, it's about 160 bucks. So if we really look at this, that's one box there. You get the idea. I more than double my money with the sale of them. It's just the inconvenience of that. Versus then we look at the card packs. It's, you know, $120 for 64. This here represents 64. The margins aren't as amazing. It's just shy of $2. We're paying like $2 per pack, and we're selling it for $3. So we're only getting 50% extra. So double our money, getting 1.5 our money. Now, obviously, higher volume sales, lower volume sales. But the point means is to get them on my shelf, I'm tying up, you know, several $100 on that shelf in inventory. And luckily, this game doesn't have like shoplifting or anything like that. Which, for the record, I actually hope they don't add that to the game. I honestly feel like a lot of that, like, there's some games that can make sense to it, but honestly, I find that kind of mechanic to be not fun in a lot of games. Like, Gas Station Simulator, I'd say, does a good job of it, where you've got, like, the kid who runs around and is just a menace, and it's fun, it's satirical, and all that, versus, like, Supermarket Simulator, if it adds shoplifting as a concern, the worry is it goes from being, you know, a reasonable simulation game to suddenly you're going after your staff, or going after your customers with a baseball bat and all that kind of stuff, and it really kind of takes away from the game when you do that. So it's a tricky thing to set up in a way that feels authentic, meaningful, whatever you want to use for your terminology. That could be like a real bad thing. You're gonna make your first actual Figer? I don't know what a Figer is. You mean fighter? You just missed a lot of letters? Fighter. Okay. Gonna make your first actual fighter? Cool. I've made those before. Alright, so it doesn't look like we're gonna hit the 1200 that we need to expand her inventory today. A big part of this game is cracking open the packs, which we'll do more of when I have spare packs to do that. Right now, as you can see, like our orange cards, the inventory is getting pretty lean. The purple cards are starting to get a little lean. The blue cards were fine. But, I'm gonna go ahead and do a big order of a whole bunch of those things. And then the idea will be, as time goes on, I'll be able to spend more and more time, like, doing stuff like cracking open the card packs and seeing what we get out of it. And all that kind of stuff. Because that's some of where your big money comes from. Is sure, most of your cards don't end up being worth that much, but every once in a while you hit like a $500, $600, $700, $800 card or more, and when you get to put one of those in the shelf, you just instantly get an influx of huge amount of money. Let's see, so you haven't had to deal with Wizards releasing a flop set that you got a fire sale on a week? Yeah, so I would, it's not the style of game that's going to have quite those kind of events. They do have the prices fluctuate on very, like, RNG, so, like, this time, like, your rare set might be worth way less, but then your common set's worth way more. It just follows the supermarket simulator thing of that. I would love to see it where the game had events like, oh, this series is like falling out of favor, like the whole series, and that series is like really bad for a while monetarily. We made about $600 profit, so that's good news. So I can get all that open up immediately. But I would be down for that kind of thing. Not that it's just like the stock becomes worthless. The only game I've seen do that kind of mechanic well is the software, was it Software Inc? Yeah, Software Inc. That they make like previous versions of the products, like depending on how competitive it is, suddenly you'll have like the entire floor drops out from your product and you'll have to like compete with the new features and all that. But that's what that game is. You're not working as like the retail store in Software Inc. You're developing the actual product. So it's the thing that makes it so you can't just run on the same product forever. Eventually your competition will make a better product and compete with you. And if you don't respond by making your own better product than theirs or being more competitive in price or whatever benefit you offer, you'll just get taken to absolute cleaners on it. All right. For a moment, I thought that was my stocking person way over there. I was like, why is my stocking person just straight up ditching? It's like, this job, deuces, I'm out. Which is a real concern you run into in these kinds of jobs, is you will have people who they'll work the job for a while and just be like, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm done with the drama. Let's see, you can put stuff on the top shelf you didn't know that you have so much unused space. Gotcha. Yeah, no, that was, people mentioned it to me because I had missed that at first as well. The other save I tried the narrower shelves. I think in total volume of items per floor space, they are technically better. But at the same time, I really don't like the aesthetic of them as much as these. And it's close enough that I don't care. Because, like, the miniature shelves are 150, they go this, like, about half the size here. But you can put 48 deep on 3 spots. But, like, it goes down to the floor and all that, and it's just... It's more inventory space, but just... It doesn't look as good. And then these ones have 4, so those are the real answers. Get these ones that have the 4 spaces on them that go in the middle. Alright, so we've almost got enough that we can go and restock our inventory. Which is the big sale we're doing here. Gotta wait till we get about 6 more bucks. Because that'll also be new items for sale on the floor, as well as just getting a restock on, like, everything. Ring people up faster. Let's see, you like the 48s and the cage ones, but everybody to their own. You like the 48 cage ones? Yeah. Well, the cage ones to me make sense for stuff like this. Like spray cans and that, you know, stuff you're just gonna kind of chuck in the bin and it's fine. For like the actual loose cards, I don't know, that bothers me. Alright, so we got boxes. And new products. Which, if I sell one of those, it's 40 bucks a piece. Alright. And just chuck that on the floor. So slow, man. Use those for bulk packs, but we all have our own preferences on looks. Yeah, no, bulk packs, that would be fair. I would have no objection to the bulk packs going in there. That's that's kind of the way I view those things. Is they're like, this is just like the random stuff I'm gonna just chuck off to the side here. You've already stocked those up. And these are also spares. Okay. Alright, so looking at what I've got here, I need to add the loose blue cards onto the sales. Oh, you're stocking up the purple ones. You know, go ahead and crack some rare ones so I can get this box. $112 one. I accidentally skipped over it, but we got a $112 card there. Alright, any other goodies? It's because one's, yeah, that's $10 card. It's so easy to accidentally skip over the cards, but yeah, so we got a $10 card there. The downside is, if they're new, I am trying to not get rid of things that don't have dupes, so this is only $2, but it's a new one. But ideally what we want to find is we want to grab ones that are, like, you know, really good 20, 30, 40 plus dollar cards that are not new, because that means I can put on the shelf. That was an $8 card. But I am just emptying out that box. $1,400 card. Let's go ahead and see what that looked like. Yeah, so I got that card all the way over there on the right. $1,400. It is a new card, though, so it's just going to live in my book. But that means if I get a second one of those cards, then I get 1,400 bucks. 16 bucks, 18 bucks. I'm trying to not accidentally skip stuff. $4. $11. $3. $473. Love to see it. 22 bucks. Alright, let's get you out of here. Because we still have a whole extra box of those, which is part of the reason I was like, yeah, let's go crack these. Alright. So the ones we're selling are still, like, in the $3, $4, $5, $6 range, because that's what I've got duplicates of. We did have one sale the last time I played that was like a $400 or $500 card all at once. That was really nice. But you can collect the whole set, like the whole set, and that's like one of the things to do. Alright, so let's see. Do we pay our bills yet today? We have not, so let's do that. Alright, so I got 400 bucks. I'm gonna want to buy the loose blue cards. And then we're good on all of the rest of the stuff sitting around here. So what will be our next license to go after? I could keep... Oh, man. So the thing is, we got all these interesting stuff I can go after. But... man, they're so expensive to get the initial setup. We also have like the different cases I can go after and all that. Got different like mouse pads and whatnot. We apparently have a mystery item here I can get for 1,200 bucks, which is curious. I also would like to expand the store to make more room for shelves and all that. Yeah, you probably won't pick up unless I drop that back down. How much would it cost me to upgrade? $400 for some shelf space? I'm gonna go ahead and do the 400. This is so this is GameStop Sim, right? It's more trading cards, but you know, there's definitely similarities between like trading card stores and GameStop and whatnot. Man, this is more your local card / game store. All right. And you're 126 for a basic card pack. So you got... Yeah, so also toss on top of that another one of those to try and get more cards moving. Yeah, so they're selling a couple of the plushies. Or whatever those are.
Take a sip. What's the worst that could happen?
Can these overlap on this side? No. I don't like that current setup, but that's fine. We're gonna shift that all out of the way. You just bought the full version? Yeah, it's awesome. Let's see it. 2K card in pink, but you're ahead from best sale. Your highest sale duplicate is 33 bucks. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, with that new card, these ones are more expensive. But on my other save, I had one card that was more valuable than the set I have here for roughly the same time. But I had a total higher value of the actual book on this save. But now that I've grabbed that second one, that's not even remotely close to. Let's see, do you unlock other game titles? Or is it all Tetramon? I believe right now in this version of the game, it's all different versions of Tetramon. However, I also believe on their roadmap, they do have getting more game varieties or whatever as one of the things they want to do is to have like 2 or 3 different games that you can trade between or whatever. Because I think that opens them up to the game opportunity of like, okay, well, right now, Tetramon is better. Let's see, that corner could be a table corner? It could be. I'm gonna knock down more wall here and then that'll be fine. Alright. Give me more stuff. Okay. Oh, I missed what that card was worth. $118. Okay, whatever it wasn't worth much because that card on the right was $118, leaves only $12 left over. You get the idea. Couldn't have been worth more than 12, and then realistically with the other cards, couldn't have been that much. A buck something, $18. $52, getting there. $2. $6. Not even $1. $6. Okay, let me try some setting changes real fast. Show new card, auto next card. So let's see what happens when I do it that way. Because I'm trying to do... Put that back. I'm trying to make it... Ah, okay, so auto next card will just flip through it all. That's fine. That way I don't have to click and hold the button. We can compare the cards after they're done versus like while we're flipping through them. Alright, Random Thrower, you take it easy. Thank you for tuning in. But I'm not gonna have... Alright, we got 20 bucks. Okay, so it does stop when you hit a certain value. That's what I wanted, so that we don't accidentally skip the real good stuff. Just so we can, you know, when I do grab a card and it's like, oh my god, it's $1,000. You know, we can have a moment to be excited about it. Alright. Why are you still here, sir? It's after closing time. This man here doesn't get to see his family very often. Do you want to be why he doesn't get to see his family? This is on you. It's your fault, sir. Let's see. Yeah, they say they'll add new style games later down the road. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Get this working, get it working right, because it only released in like its early access version not even a month ago, so it hasn't been around long enough to really do much, and it's already, you know, really well done. All right, so we did technically lose profit, but that's because I have $1,500 in supply, and I got 1,300 revenue. I've kind of learned that this over here doesn't exist. It's a lie. Ignore it. Just look here and say, what was my revenue versus like what was my like supply and all that kind of stuff. Like how are we doing? Or I mean, really, you could take your revenue and profit and just kind of look at it that way. It's just you're gonna have days that you're spending your money keeping it pretty low because you're always re-upping and all that. All right. So you opened right away. So let's see what's next on our list of stuff to do. I can continue to expand the store. It's relatively inexpensive right now. It's going to pick up in price a lot, but that can give me more room to work. Okay. It would be nice to get the epic boxes. Would probably be a good one. Oh, okay, so I see one thing. So I need to go here. We need the clear sleeves. Keep restocking these. There we go. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering here if it's worth me shifting the stuff up here or not. And then maybe putting the big bulk boxes here, because I don't get many of those bulk boxes. So I don't really see a good reason to take up all the shelf space for them with how little of them we do. Because it would be nice to get these licensed for the larger one. I'll probably save up for doing the epic boxes until we hit the big box. We could definitely get more of the cases. Get those unlocked. The figurines is another one of just make this shelf all the plush. The new car is 18, I think. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. You're gonna make it a thing where what we'll do is need it or not every single day. And then if I don't need it, then what I can do is I can just crack open a bunch of cases to keep the collection growing. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so you are a spare. $20. And it's not new. So that means I get to put a $20 card in my shelf. Because I've also found for like getting XP really quickly, just popping open packs and just going for it honestly works pretty well. Because it gives you somewhere in the area of like 17 to like 35 XP every single time you do it. Like, I don't know if it's based on the pack or whatever. So you do just build up a lot of XP pretty quickly. Alright. $47. And not new. Okay, so we get some pretty decent stuff to put on the shelf here. We're gonna have like a 40 and whatever dollar card. But that's the idea, is I want to keep building up a bunch of stuff that I can drop off and sell, more complete the collection. It also gives you something to do versus just like standing in the corner and being like, let me just watch my store run itself. Or like sending one of your people home and then, you know, working the register yourself. 18 bucks. You can take advantage of the addictive nature of opening card packs and making that all happen. All right. So let's go duplicates. And there we go. $47 card, which we will sell for $54 because, you know, you don't sell stuff at their value. You sell them a bit over so you can turn a profit. That's how that works. If you sell stuff literally at value, like, why would you bother? And there's a $20 card being sold for 22 bucks, almost 23. All right. And that's a spare of those. Okay, so looks like I will need another of the pink cards. There's an $18 card for about 20 bucks. It looks like I need the red dice, which is unfortunate because they're expensive. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this run down to where it's only 2 shelves, and then when it's 2 shelves, I'm gonna put my big boxes on that because I don't get many of the bulk boxes made. Like, that'll probably happen later that I make more and more bulk boxes, but for the moment, we're not seeing nearly that many. They don't really need a lot of shelf space dedicated to them. Okay. Moving some cards. That's good. I do think if I could save up to 900 for the Minstar plushie, we'll get that unlocked and put that on the shelf. Pretty soon I'm going to need some more of the other plushie. But you get the idea. Is I want to make that shelf, like, cover like one whole side is dice, one whole side is plushies, that kind of thing. So then you walk in, you have whatever. Like that there's some consistency and all that. All right. Okay, and you need another bottle of this. That's just deodorant. It would be nice to expand our inventory to include more sleeves. That might be the next thing we do, is maybe put another one of these shelves in and have one side of it be like all sorts of different types of sleeves. I could also see potentially going over here, getting another one of these metal shelves, and having it, like right now we've got just the loose clear sleeves there, but have like the loose clear sleeves, the Tetramon sleeves, the like fire sleeves, the cold sleeves, whatever. Because those are the kind of things you could throw in a wire cage and it would it wouldn't be a problem. Like, versus throwing loose cards like that into it, you could damage the cards pretty easily.
Thank you Sniper Spice for subscribing for 29 months. Been a long time.
Hey, Sniper Spice, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Been subbed the channel for 29 months. That's basically forever. I went ahead and checked my notes, and it just has like a little pen mark there that just says forever. But thank you so much for that continued support. It does mean a whole heck of a lot. Coming up on 3 years real quick. And that means a whole heck of a lot. So thank you so much, and I do hope you end up enjoying your advertising-free viewing as well as access to the emotes, so thank you so much for that. That's more than 2 years, that's amazing. Oh yeah, no, we've got, we do have a decent number of people who have kept their subs going for over 2 years. There's been a lot of people who, once they found the channel, they subbed and they just kept subbing. I think... I'm trying to remember where our oldest subs are at. Is it up to 38 months? It's somewhere in that ballpark. Maybe a little less? Because I've been... I know I've been partnered for, I believe, 2 years now. A bit over 2 years. And it was a little bit less than a year from starting streaming to hitting partner. And so part of that I wasn't affiliate yet, so I couldn't get subbed to. But there's a handful of people who subbed to me right near the beginning of being affiliate and just kept going. I do think I'm going to save the money. We're going to get the next plush, and I will get that added to the inventory and start getting that stocked. And we'll see how that goes. I know it's a texture glitch when you see people walk up. It'll look like there's, yeah, like right there, it looks like there's a hole in his shirt. And if you walk over here closer, it's not actually there. Devs, put the hole in the shirt. That's real people showing up to the card shop. Everyone's gonna have like a couple of holes along the neck of their shirt and all that over here where it's gotten stretched a bunch. They'll probably have some holes like in the chest area of the shirt again from just like all the stuff going around. You'll probably have some down by like the gut just off center because that's those t-shirts and all that, that's just where they wear out. All the places where they get folds and creases and stretch and all that. And you know the people showing up here, they're wearing their, their Magic of the Gathering shirt that they got like 8 years ago, their Dark Souls shirt that they got a bunch of years ago that has been through several hundred wears and is just, it's a bit faded, some of the things aren't quite legible anymore on it. You got some tears along the seams. Yeah, the ad's over. Yeah. No, I was gonna say, like, we've got some people who've been around here. People have been able to sub to channels somewhere around 3 years that I had affiliate ago, and we've got some people who have definitely, they subbed during that time and they've subbed ever since, which is absolutely mind-blowing and humbling and all the ings. Okay, so let's unlock the mini star and get 2 boxes. Okay, so it's $756. We restock our shelves. We're doing okay on most of that. I believe I've already got the purple cards in here. That's the epic. Yeah, so you already got the purple cards in there. Those are all doing fine for now. I can actually use another box of the rare loose ones. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, people, like, even if you can't sub, you still support the channel by being here. Like, I want to be clear about that. Like, that's all of that helps. But then you have, people who have been like subbed to the channel for literal years and all that. And it's just kind of one of those things that, one, it's humbling that not only people support me, but would be willing to support me for that length of time. Maybe it's some form of like Stockholm syndrome or something, I don't really know. But genuinely it makes this possible. Without that kind of support, I can't keep doing this. And all that. Alright, and you're just gonna sit by yourself at the table for all eternity. So goodbye. Okay, so technically we had a negative profit, but if you look at that, that was almost entirely upgrade costs, which is stuff that we made our store better in the future, and very little of that was lost in supply. It's not us, it's you. Oh, I'm the one being held captive? You know what, that's probably fair too. Maybe we're both holding each other captive, so it's like a codependency type of captivity. Lurker checking in. Hey, Pirate, it's good to see you. Good to have you lurking as always. Okay, so we still have it over here, just the boxes are getting shoved under the tables because they don't have a shelf. Yeah. They check in, they don't check out. Exactly. And how's it going tonight, Dweller? Alright. Yeah, so once we get... It's gonna be... Actually, I need to pay my bills again. Ow! 420. I forgot to pay my salary yesterday. That's fine. They give you 7 days and then it automatically deducts, which will put you negative balance, which can be pretty bad. But I think one of the things this game did that's clever is because you effectively get an inventory here in your ledger, you can sell those even if everything else kind of goes standstill. And then on top of that, these tables are a passive income, so that literally if I don't do anything, I still get a trickle income from all that. So it is kind of one of those things that it's not the kind of game where you go, oh no, you've gone bankrupt and you go out of business and, you know, a save you put a whole bunch of hours into is suddenly just gone. Or, you know, you put yourself in a death spiral where you keep increasing your cost by making your store bigger and bigger and bigger. The likelihood of being able to put yourself into an unrecoverable state is pretty non-existent. And I said it's also going to buy a box of each of these each day. Alright, so I need the 400 from my bills and all that stuff. Playing some Satisfactory? Yeah, there's a real good chance the second half of stream will be Satisfactory. I've been enjoying this and Satisfactory a lot. I just know we've been playing almost a month solid of Satisfactory with like a little break in the middle for TwitchCon. And so it is kind of one of those things that I just, like, I'm not burning out in the game. I just worry that if I play too much of just one game, we kind of had that problem with Project Zomboid way back where I played a ton of Project Zomboid. And then after all of that, like, you know, as Project Zomboid's numbers started to decline on Twitch, it was just one of those things for those of us still playing, like, our audiences were all getting smaller and smaller, and then one person would leave, and then you know, they get bigger again to be, like, the people who had been watching that channel would now switch to watch the rest of the Project Zomboid, and that kept repeating, and it was just like, no, like, I'm circling the drain on this one, like, I can't stay in this. And then eventually Project Zomboid hit its, like, equilibrium, where it's usually sitting around, like, 600-800, sometimes 1,000, 1,200 viewers average, give or take, in a day. But it's had some pretty slow ones. This game looks addictive. Would be so tempted to open the epic boxes. Oh yeah, no, 100%. It's not even a bad strategy either. Like, the only thing stopping me for right now is I need to restock my shelves before I can give in to more addiction. Like, that's just it. As the cards start to decline, it's like, no, I need to wait and get some more of these in here. We did sell our really expensive $50 card. Most of the rest here are all in, like, the $3 to $5 price range. So I was just checking, we're getting food delivered today for dinner. Unless Tomb's changed her mind. Oh, you must be the black dice. So that means I need the blue dice. That's another thing to add on to my list. Double checking, make sure I didn't double up on those. Yep. Up to $1,400. We're not making much money today. I mean, I guess it's only 1 p.m. And so the bills from the last 2 days hitting us both at the same time because I missed one. Or, you know. Need someone to buy you new knees? I know that feeling. It's not as much nowadays, but definitely had, my ankles were in real bad shape for a long while. Had been in a car accident where I was a passenger, and it was just a sprain, but it was like a super bad sprain. So I had to be on crutches and a walking cast for a very long time, and then for years after that, you know, anytime I pushed myself, like, it'd start to act up. And you know how far I could go before it'd start acting up again. It would go a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer. And now it's the point only, like, in pretty extreme situations, I'm like, oh, hey, there's my reminder that my ankle isn't, you know, it got hurt once upon a time. But like it used to be, you know, it'd start raining and you'd have that pressure change and you'd be like, oh, it's getting ready to rain. I can feel it in my ankle. Because that's an actual thing. It's, when you have certain rainstorms and that come, there's like literally it's a high and low pressure system kind of thing. That you will have, very mild inflammation in certain joints where you've got like arthritis or you've had injuries or whatever. So when people do that whole thing, it's like, oh, I can tell it's gonna rain. I feel an ache in my bones. It's like, yeah, no, I believe you, Grandma. That's an actual thing. They're not actually feeling the rain coming. They're feeling the pressure differential. But, you know, the low pressure zone causes rain. So it is a reasonable thing. They got very last Lardina, their 270 stream streak, getting the last 270 streams without missing a single one, or having the redeem or the streak just break on them. Because that does happen. Alright, look. I need a lot of money so I can buy some inventory. That's where we're at right now. Alright, let's move you up. Because like I said, I'm going to try and consolidate that. It's like one stream off because it didn't count the one, but it also didn't break it. Interesting. Because I've definitely had things where I got a problem. Alright, so I need to add another thing onto the cart, which is an order of the cleanser, so that's going to make it almost $1,500. I'm going to probably have to split that up into 2 orders as much as I don't want to. Alright, so meanwhile, you're getting moved shelves. Is it because Cookie is slight ahead of you, but neither of us have missed one? Yeah, no, that's, it's definitely, they still consider it a beta feature or whatever you want to call it. But, it definitely does not work amazingly well. Alright, so those are going to go down there. And those are going to go down there. They're going to be increasing our overall inventory. Because doing that gives me a little bit more buffer that when I'm in this situation where I'm like, oh man, I need stuff to get more going on here, that I can ride out on my existing inventory for a good while before suddenly I'm in trouble. Alright, is there stuff we can... Alright, let's omit stuff, because this is going to take too long. So the Minstar plushies, we're going to drop those off right now. I'm going to drop the dice off right now. And get just the cards. Because all those other things... are very valuable, but very expensive, and I'm going to start running into problems with my cards if we don't get the order in. So we just dropped off all the high expense thing. How goes the local teenage haunt? I mean, everyone here is probably in their 20s to 30s. Except the staff. The staff is definitely on that fence of, hey, I'm going to need to see some ID to make sure you're legally allowed to work here. But everyone here is like, you know, this dude here, late 20s to 30s. Her, probably early to mid-20s. That whole first job, absolutely. Versus this guy here is definitely pushing his 40s. You're probably late 30s. You're probably right on 30. You definitely are dyeing your hair and you're actually in your early 50s. Probably late 30s. All right, she might actually be a teenager. She's like 19, 20, maybe 21 years old. Yeah, that guy there looks like he's probably about 16, 17, 18 years old. Maybe 20. Let's see, which, you mean, if you go back to the town card store now, you totally would. As a customer or an employee? Because I definitely heard very mixed things from people I knew who did work at the local card shops. Like, there's parts of the job they really loved, and then there was parts of jobs that were incredibly frustrating and all that. Because one, half your customers don't know how to behave. And it's not even a comment on card shops, that's just like retail in general, but also young people. And that's not meant to be like a hostile jab at young people, but it is just one of those things that, you know, it's your first job, you're learning, you're gonna make mistakes that you may not realize are faux pas or whatever. You know, you're going to be customer whatever. Okay, so it is auto adjusting. When he said $17, I'm like, excuse me, 17? But like, it's not any individual young person is more likely to do something wrong. It's that of the people who do something wrong, you are more likely to have them be young people. Like, so far as, like, little petty things, like petty shoplifting, just being kind of a jerk, making a mess, vandalism, these kind of things. They're just cracking this box and put it on the shelf. Alright. We need more of those. We still have the dice in the top shelf. Yeah, because they keep getting more stuff. But yeah, no, I definitely remember dealing with a lot of that retail. Now, in my experience in retail, like just random petty trouble, yeah, it was the younger people mostly. The ones that were like really bad was the like 30-something, 40-something-year-old dudes are the ones who'd like literally get belligerent and threaten to get into a fight with you, or you know, I've mentioned the story of the one guy who went up to the counter, and this is a tool store, went up to the counter, put down his concealed weapons permit, and he said, I'm supposed to get a discount. We're like, no, you don't. Why would that give you a discount? That makes no sense. And he did the thing where he had his jacket, and he kind of flipped his jacket back and put his hand on top of his gun, his sidearm, which again, that was a concealed weapons permit. At the time, here in the state of Florida, the only way you were allowed to carry your weapons around was one, they had to be secured, so like in a cabinet or something like that, or like whatever, with the locks or whatever, or they had to be concealed. That the way the law worked is to show the weapon was intent to use. And you could disagree about whether or not that should be that and yada yada yada, but that's irrelevant because that's not what the law was. And so in that moment, the moment he flipped his jacket out of the way to rest, because he's trying to make it look like he's putting his hands on his hip, but it's like he's showing his firearm. It was like, hey man, what you're doing right now is a strong arm robbery, because you are implying the threat that if we don't give you this discount, you are going to use your sidearm. And it's like, and you're breaking your license and all that. And all that stuff. It was a whole big thing. Like, we kicked him out of the store immediately. He's like, you are banished from here forever. And it was like the local tool store. I was like, but the next tool place isn't for like an hour away. I'm like, and that's where you're going from now on. You literally just threatened the staff with a firearm. What did you expect the outcome to be? You're lucky you're not in jail because you bolted too fast for the cops to arrive. Because the loss prevention person, the moment they saw that jacket went back, immediately was like, 911, hey, we got a guy who's robbing us. Because technically, that qualified as a strong arm robbery. Do you have spray cleaning people as they come in? Yeah, so these things here, if someone stinks, you can see the bottles on either side. It's the deodorant here. So when someone walks in and they stink, it blasts them with deodorant to make them not stinky. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, a machine that can detect if someone's got some bad BO and gives them a once-over, wouldn't be against that. The neat fact that even though you have concealed weapons permit, you may not, you may not do that across the border of Canada. And now you never have to worry about certain directors showing up at your store ever again. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. When you have a concealed weapons permit in a state where it's concealed only and you're not concealing your weapon, they'll have, like, nuanced differences in the rules. But the moment you're not concealing, a lot of those states, it qualifies as intent to use, unless you are, like, pulling out the firearm to, like, take apart and your private home to, like, disassemble and clean and whatever. This is a country border? Yeah. A lot of them don't go between certain states, depending on the state you're coming from, going through. Oh yeah, no, a lot of your weapons permit, you can have a permit in one state and it means nothing in the next state over. Alright. Like, different states have to respect your driver's license. So, like, if I get a driver's license and it's valid in my state, and I go to the next state over, it's valid there too. They don't get the, like, they're not allowed to not accept it. Because otherwise, every state, like, any state you'd go to, you'd have to get, 10, 15 different driver's license just to function in the country, and it would be a non-starter. Just not a thing you could realistically do. Which my understanding is within the EU, they've got a lot of stuff like that as well, where they've got agreements, not necessarily specifically on those things, but they got agreements where it's like, if you have this document in your country, the next country other has to, within a certain limitations, accept that as is. Which is a big part of what all that is so that you don't cross a country line and go, oh, well, you're not allowed to drive anymore. Oh, you're not allowed to this anymore. Oh, you're not allowed to that anymore. You got to go through and do all, because if you're traveling as a tourist, you're not going to get driver's license in every location. And we have agreements here in the US with people from the EU, so if you come with a valid driver's license, temporarily you'll be accepted on that. If you're going to stay over a certain period of time, then you're required to do extra stuff. But that's just to make it all practical. Because otherwise, no one would travel. Alright. Trying desperately to get the inventory caught up. And the reason why we're having inventory woes is I just spent so much money all at once on expanding my inventory offerings that all that money is it's in my store, but it's, this represents $900 I spent. No, I'm sorry, the star was $900, but this represents like another $600 that's just tied up on that shelf. Let's see, EU signed some landmark stuff today. I'm not going into details, but definitely, yeah, for human rights. Yep, I am aware of what you're talking about, and yep. But we don't need to dig into it because there'll be someone who's like, I don't think that should be, and it's like, that's fine, but I'm glad you're not calling the shots. Sorry, what? But yeah. Let's see, does Canada allow guns for defensive reason? I mean, as a citizen, not as a cop or security? Most countries do. Like, even countries that supposedly don't let you have firearms, they still will for defensive purposes. But it's not like... They have limitations. Like, you can usually have them at your home, but you can't just go out, like, running around with a shotgun on your back and be okay, like places here in the US you can. They've got a lot more restrictions. But yeah, you're not just gonna walk around with a sidearm everywhere. And the ones that do, they usually have much stricter rules around getting your permits and all that. So not not anyone willy-nilly can grab it. And, like, or sorry, not anyone willy-nilly can just get a firearm and just start running around. It's more like you need a permit to have one, period. And if it's a certain non-banned formats, you might need documentation sent. Yeah. Australia doesn't allow for defense. Yeah, I know Australia has some pretty strict laws. I believe you can still get them in Australia. It's just, it's a very cost-prohibitive licensing and all that. And then, like, they get the serial numbers and everything. So it's more of a collector thing, not defense thing. Okay. So. Alright, 1 second, chat. Sounds like food's arrived real fast. I'm gonna go ahead and give Liz... Sorry, gonna give Toom a hand. I feel bad about that. Gonna give Toom a hand real fast. I'll be right back. So thank you again for tuning in. I'll be back in just a moment. I only lost one time the entire time I played the last time. Come on. I know I'm at 0%, but I'm right here. Aw, come on. I got over the hill, too. I was right there. Yeah. Lightning. False alarm. You had to go run downstairs for stuff. Let's see. Japan's most interesting. You can have a gun, but that means your premise is allowed to be inspected by the police at any time. Yeah. To be fair, I do think it is... I mean, maybe not to that extreme, but I do believe there are reasons we should have limitations on a lot of that stuff. Now, we don't need to dig into that too much because we're all going to disagree on where the lines in the sand are and yada yada yada. And that's fine. That's the reason why there are different rules in different places and different belief systems and yada yada yada. That's all fine. Alright. Like, I have my own beliefs on what shouldn't, but it's just one of those things. Okay, so we do need the clear sleeves. Do I already have that plushie in the list? Because those are something we're low on. We've got plenty of the other one. I need more of these cards. Actually, probably more than that even. I need more of the blue cards. There we go. You see them as tools, but otherwise, man, not my thing. You do like sharp things for collectibles, though? Yeah. I mean, I do wish, like, for stuff like that, there would be requirements of saying, hey, you know, if you're going to possess certain things, you do have certain... Not test isn't the right word. You know, just... You'd have to sit there and go, okay, like, do you have any certain behavior in your history? Alright, well, that's a no. You know, unless, like, have some type of process you can kind of appeal that. Because I find it frustrating that half the time things go wrong, that it's like this is a super predictable thing that pretty much everyone universally agrees, like, oh yeah, this person had problems, they really shouldn't have been able to have this. And I also personally believe that there should be requirements in how they have to be secured, especially if there are children in the home and yada yada yada. We don't need to get into that, we can move on to another topic. It's just one of those things that I don't like when things go wrong and everyone goes, oh, well, we just can't do anything about it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, we're in the only place that this is a widespread problem. Maybe we can do something about this. We might not be willing to, but clearly there's something we can do about it. You grew up around those who knew how to use them, safety at a young age. They're a tool respected and not played with. You also haven't used anything for a long time, but agreed. Yeah, exactly. Like, there should be actual training required, actual expectations, all that. It's less that we aren't willing to, and more that everyone is too busy arguing to implement anything. Yeah, so we can remove it from this subject so we don't get all in the politics of this particular subject, because we probably should move on from it. But, like, it's anytime you run into a situation where you've got Team A says, okay, we recognize there's a problem, we should do this. And Team B says, okay, we also recognize that problem, but we shouldn't do that, we should do this completely different thing. And it's like, alright, let's start with the least common denominators, because those are the things we both agree on. And we should start there and get those put in place, because if we're not disagreeing on it, why aren't we doing it? But the argument is, oh, well, we want this whole package or that whole package. And it's like, okay, well, let's do that. Let's start with the stuff that we 70-80% agree on and move forward with that. And I also dislike, and this is a very American politics thing going on right now, is I dislike that it's become more and more and more of a thing because it's them or us, that it doesn't even matter what the issue is. If this is the group in power, the other group does everything they can to kind of undermine any meaningful progress so that they can use that lack of progress to hold that against them in the next election. And it's not exclusively a US problem. It's just the two-party system really, really gives you a reason to do that. And so the number of times we've had someone's like, hey, here's something we all agree on, we should act on it. And it's like, no, it's an election year. If they manage to push that through, it's going to be harder for us to win our election, so we're just going to torpedo that thing. I have zero respect for that. Like, the moment I see those kind of games, I'm like, you know who I want to make sure doesn't win the next election? You. The US needs a viable third party to break up. So the problem is just the structure of how we handle our elections is why we have a two-party system, is our design for our structure literally pressures it into one. So stuff like, for example, if you're having an election here in the state of Florida, because we do the whole electoral college and yada yada yada, if you get 50% of the vote, the next person gets 49% of the vote, and the last person gets 1% of the vote, all of the electoral college votes go for the one that got the 50%. And to me, I would love to see electoral reform that says you can't do that. Your electoral vote needs to be proportional to what your people voted. And, you know, the odd one out, I don't even give a crap what they do with it. So if you have, like, 20 electoral votes for your state, and it's a 50-50 split, it's 10 and 10. It doesn't go 20-1. Because what you do when you do that is effectively, whatever the minority group there is, you've just wiped out their vote. It doesn't count anymore. You got rid of it. And I really strongly disagree with that. And part of the reason I probably have such a strong opinion is I am in a location where, generally speaking, my view tends to be a little bit in the minority on the state level. And so it sucks to feel like my vote literally doesn't matter. I still will vote every single time, because that's the only way anything ever changes. But it sucks to feel like, at least for, the presidential election and all that, my vote doesn't count. Because of gimmicks and all that. The important part is that you vote in your local election. That's more effective than the average person. You're not doing the presidential vote because you don't like the options. By all means, you get to make your own choices and all that. I would very, 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 very strongly encourage you, even if you don't like the options, still vote in the presidential election. Even if you're voting third party or whatever, there is nothing more dangerous to a democracy than apathy. Because when you don't participate in the vote, more extreme people who are willing to participate have a much better chance of getting more extreme candidates through the process. Now, are you going to vote? It's going to feel like a waste? Sure. But doing nothing and expecting change is just not how it works. I really don't know what's happening downstairs. Man, I am definitely very heavily in team camp. If you can legally vote, you do it. Because for those who don't understand what the problem with voter apathy is the action that you choose not to vote because whether you feel your vote doesn't count or whatever the problem is. And a lot of them are very valid reasons. But you choose not to vote. What ends up happening is you get a smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller portion of the population is represented in the vote. And what ends up happening is, as that portion, especially if it starts dropping towards less than half, it gets really difficult to, like, when you have less people vote, it's easier for people to manipulate the vote. It's easier for people to do all sorts of things to mess with stuff. It allows more extreme views to be able to be represented heavily in what's there. Doesn't help that America is a full democracy run on popular vote. Yeah, that's a thing. But I would also love their way to say, I hate all your options, give me something else. I don't think there's a practical way we can do that, but I would love to be able to do that. But yeah. You got no horse in this race, but you said definitely participate in your democracy, defend it as necessary. Exactly. Like, this isn't even a comment specifically for, like, in the US or whatever. You know, you, like, by all means, voter apathy is a dangerous thing. Like, if you can participate in your vote locally, legally, do it. Do it. Even if it 100% feels like an exercise in futility. Because if nothing else, if you go into it and you have your vote and you get more and more and more third-party votes happening, there is, like here in the US, for example, is once you get a certain percentage of the vote goes to your party, even if you're still nowhere near winning, you actually get afforded more opportunities for, like, fundraising and doing all that stuff. That can do so much to help. Yeah, no, and I agree on the local politics. Absolutely vote in your local stuff as well. You know, the person who runs your school board, that's important. The person who runs your election locally, that's important. There's a lot of, like, your local sheriff. There's so many places that awful things happen because people just didn't participate in their local vote. And, you know, it got co-opted by some extreme group. And the only counter you have is to be active. Let's see, provincially you can get declined your ballot officially. It's a way of saying not a worthy party candidate has emerged. I do wish there was a formal system for doing that here in the US. That we could go to an office and say, the candidates you've given me here, I genuinely don't care. The problem is with the two-party system is that is effectively helping whichever party has the higher momentum and all that. So unfortunately, a lot of times you get pressured in the situation where you can say, well, I don't like my choices. But then you look and go, but if I'm looking at this one's bad and this one's worse, well, I would like the bad one over the worse one. And so that's why the two-party system is so problematic, is it forces you to vote for someone who works against your best interest because they're slightly less awful than the other one. And to a certain extent, with a lot of those kind of things, there's very few candidates you'll be happy with. Like most of the time, you're not going to have someone who perfectly aligns with your own views. You'll be like, I like these 4 things, I don't like these 2 things, but out of my options, that's the one who, while I don't like these 2 things, that's the one who's closely aligned with me. Does anyone else do parts effectively pointless vote because no one else is? Those who don't? Right, and that's the catch. That's where we're at right now, is if you vote for the third party, you've thrown away your vote. But at the same time, there's a whole thing where if you get a certain percentage of the vote or more, your party gets a more formal recognition and more fundraising and all that kind of stuff that they can do, which is part of what locks in the two-party system. is because it's them or us, it's very hard to justify going for a third-party vote if there's a clear lesser evil between the two parties. And I don't honestly know how they can fix that without massive reform. Or something like stacked rank or something like that. Like South Park's parody of Polity explains it all well. Yeah. Right. Well, and that's the thing. There's a lot of things, like not even like in the politics side. Like even just making decisions around your own life. You're looking at situations, say, I don't have a winning choice here. I've got a bad choice and a terrible choice. Well, I'll go with the bad choice. Because it's the lesser of evils. And you will have to make those compromises a lot in your life. There would also have to be a big societal shift on how divided a lot of countries or the parties. Right. Well, I think if we ever manage to do something like stacked rank voting, or and this isn't me saying, hey, get this policy on the thing, but like stacked rank voting, doing something where you could turn around and go and say, hey, well, we're going to have this set up such that, you know, you can't do all these like major campaigning things, do all this fundraising ahead of time and all that. It's literally like, here's your hard limit on what you can spend around it. Yeah, which choice gives me more time to push for a better solution to the platform? Yeah, that's also another thing. Sometimes a candidate who their entire platform is, I'm not planning on doing anything interesting. Sold. I'm not going to get what I want, but I'm not going to get what I don't. But you know, you just have a bunch of different solutions with that kind of thing. Having it so for it's more like when you're looking at the vote, it's not like the Electoral College, if it's going to stick around, each state doesn't just swing solidly the entire state one way or the other based on a single vote pushing him over the fence. A lot of that would help mitigate the two-party system. You love how whenever Rual says such that, my brain immediately draws 3 dots. Thanks, university math proofs. I don't miss math proofs. See, it really thinks it's worth learning about not only who you want to win, but who you really don't want to win. Well, that's usually what your comparison is. If these are the options I have, even if I don't like other options, which option's worse? Yeah. Well, that's the primaries. A lot of states here in the US, we have what's called a closed primary, where if I say like I'm not affiliated, but say I was affiliated with one of the parties, then I can vote in a primary to see of the people in my party who I want to represent my party to run for president. And then some states have what's called an open primary, which is you get to vote on either group. You get to vote on them and just say, hey, here's what we got going on. And you can like lean in on that and say, well, if you know, the opposition person wins, I would prefer they have that person than this person. And the argument being closed primary tends to lean to more extreme views that then they try and sell themselves to the country later when they're not in their primary anymore. So it ends up being a thing where on one end you end up with a very extreme view in the primaries, and then you try and water it down, which means no matter what, you're being disingenuous the whole way through, because that's just, the system forces that on you. Versus if you're dealing with an open primary system, you tend to be in a situation where you want to lean just a little bit in the direction of your party, while also being palatable to the general population, unless you're in a location that your party is just super dominant. So yeah, on the flip side, multi-party system's mostly terrible too. There in Canada, you have multiple choices, but it only really falls down to who basically wins Toronto area, since the largest portion of Canadian lives there. Yeah, well, that's always the issue with when you're talking like general election versus we have the Electoral College here in the US. At which point, both of them have the issue of, in one, all your votes are equal so far as every person one vote is one vote. And so there's certainly that's equal in the sense, but that does mean to a certain extent more urban areas get to boss around more rural areas. On the other hand, if you flip that formula over where you do like we've got the Electoral College, you've got areas that have a population of like 1,200 people that you look at and go, wait a second, because I live in a more populated area, my vote is objectively worth less than their vote. And it's a real big feels bad, man. And there's a lot of asterisks to follow that, to be clear. Like there's House representatives versus Senate representatives, and then there's the presidency with the Electoral College, and some electoral seats are, you know, rounded up and some are rounded down and all that based on the demographics and yada yada yada. I think is the thing. Jaguar says, in Australia, voting is compulsory, which was explained to me when you were younger because it stops extremists from gaining power. Exactly. Compulsory voting is the extreme counter to voter apathy. Because voter apathy is choosing not to vote because, for whatever reason, you feel it doesn't matter, you feel it's not worth your time, like whatever the reasons are. Compulsory voting is you are legally required to vote. And sometimes your compulsory vote can be to write and say, I am writing you that I am not voting. And I don't know what Australia's rules and all that. But it just means that more extreme groups trying to co-opt because you have a low participation can't do so because everyone is participating. Because sometimes voter apathy can be like, I'm just happy, everything's going right, like I don't need to go to the, you know, booth because everything's going fine. And then because no one goes and votes, some extremist manages to sneak through, and now you got a real problem. There's a legal ability to cast their votes regardless. Not sure what the laws are to force them to vote the actual people or not. That's state by state. In some states, yeah, the Electoral College is required to align with the state they're president, but there's a lot that don't. Like, there's a lot that literally you can put in your vote, and they go, yeah, but I'm going to go vote this completely unrelated way. Alright, so we're going to get our next set of stuff in here. To get our next set of plushies on the shelf. Cool. So we got a little bit more new merchandise. Alright. So it looks like if we check our inventory, let's actually check our bills. And when we have these conversations, like no one's hitting anything, I'd be like, hey, don't do that. Generally speaking, I try and stay off individual topics. I know we got into, like, you know, firearm policy briefly there, but generally it's easier to talk about issues at the bird's eye as opposed to like getting in the weeds on any issue, because then you'll have people have very strong opinions about various policies. And unfortunately, in my experience, when you get into that, a lot of times people stop talking to each other and start talking at each other, where neither group is listening. They're just repeating themselves, saying stuff at each other. Versus when you stay more in the bird's eye of, hey, there is this general thing. It's a good way to have a meaningful conversation where you don't get people's, you know, individual no longer being rational, no longer being whatever, like actually thinking logically and talking with each other and having a discussion versus just, you know, throwing the hammer down or whatever. Are you thinking that the parties... Oh yeah, so... Yeah, no, Jaywalker, we vote at the same booths. Basically what happens is you got your two parts to elections. You've got your primaries, and so what ends up happening is you have a primary that's usually a good couple months or so before the general election, and the primary is where we're saying, you know, if you are party A, you are voting for who is going to be leading your party. You still do that at the exact same voting booth, that at the same time you'll have people from the other party voting in their primary. What just happens, you just go in you'll have your card, and sometimes they'll have like vote to retain these judges, and they'll have like other local stuff going on that can be on that same ballot, but there'll be a thing that like if you are party A, you know, you'll have like your one or two things saying, hey, who are you voting to run for senator? Who are you voting to run for president? Who are you voting for your party? And then, you know, party B would have its. And then it's me, who is not part of one of those two parties. I don't get to participate. So I get stuck with whatever everyone else votes for, and I hate the way that system works because my views don't necessarily align with either party. But it's just one of those things that, because I am in a closed primary state, I don't get to participate in that step. And then later you have what's known as the general election. So after all that's happened, you know, Party A gets their candidate, they start campaigning. Party B gets their candidate, they start campaigning. And then, you know, several months go by, we have our general election. And that's when we actually sit down, we put down our vote, and it says, okay, that person won, they're now the president of the country. Well, they've won, there's a little bit of a delay, and then they're president of the country. Because there is the physical logistics of, you know, getting the new person in office and going through the procedure. Let's see, in Canada, if an election is planned, the parties have less than 6 months to really do the thing. If there are no confidence vote that passes, you have less time. Yeah, we don't have the equivalent of a no confidence vote for, like, the president. There are some states who do have the ability to do a recall vote on stuff like their House reps and senators, but that's a state-by-state thing, and, like, I would say there are fewer states that do have that than don't. The argument being that everyone would always be running for election, and okay, you probably don't want people campaigning when they need to be doing a job, but at the same time, it also means people will want to try and keep themselves popular with their constituents the whole time, so whatever. Let's see, there's been no confidence vote almost weekly now. They're failing. Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't kept up with the happenings going on there. Hard enough to keep up with stuff in my own backyard. Okay, so the dice, the plush, all those are stocked up. I need more of the purple stuff. Yeah, so that's the epic card packs. We need more of the rare card packs. Alright, it's been a while since we've been able to open any packs. Let's go ahead and get this going. So I want to get a box of those. And 2 of those, because that's the equivalent. I also need to pay my bills. Cool. But I will say thank you for everyone hanging out here and having these conversations, because we haven't had anyone who's been like, no, and just, you know, dropping common dog whistles, being dismissive of other people's views, being, you know, otherwise a jerk about it. I do appreciate that, because that is a problem, and why so much of these types of discussions tend to be pressured against, frowned upon, whatever, is because it tends to draw that kind of people out. Of which my stance is, if we are having a meaningful discussion and someone throws a dog whistle to just completely negate someone else's, you know, conversation, you probably won't last here. With the exception is if someone starts dropping, you know, racial slurs and hate speech, and that, the person dropping that will be gone. Because there's a difference between stating, you know, matters of fact opinions and being dehumanizing. But just want to thank people, because I know there aren't many places you can have those discussions. For here in the US, the joke is the Thanksgiving dinner, where no matter what, eventually someone gets into politics, and no matter what, there is always that one family member who just really is, you know, the one who'll sit there, you'll say something, and they'll call like another family member stupid or whatever. Like, once you get to that point, you're like, we're not having a discussion anymore. Now you're just being a jerk. If you got to get to name calling, you're not part of the discussion anymore. You know, you can go sit at the children's table. But not really, because we don't want to subject the children to it. They deserve better. Yeah, it's unfortunate that people attack others when they disagree, and not just disagree about their ideas present in their own lives. Yeah, agreed. Sounds like a great reason why our Thanksgiving is next week instead of next month. Yeah, I mean... like, I think it's fine either way. I do appreciate as the children in the group have all become adults and now pushing 30s, 40s, and 50s in the family, the problematic uncle, as it were, when he gets there, basically gets ganged up on by literally everyone. Like, when he's, you know, just talking his position, that's fine, but the moment he gets, like, name-calling, everyone shuts him down and is like, hey, look. You know, when you're one of the few adults here, you get away with that because, you know, the kids can't really stand up to you. But at this point, we outnumber you by a large number, and if you're going to go ahead and be a big old jerk about it, we're just going to shut that conversation down where it stands. Canada's grow season is shorter. Thanksgiving is basically a celebration of the harvest. Yeah, no, that's, and historically, like... we have, like, the whole story of the Native Americans and the colonists and all that. But it's also basically the harvest season. That's the reason they had all the food and everything available. You know, the one group and the other one was short and whatnot. You know the story. But, like, that's why that is what it was. It is when you normally have the harvest festival and the colonists had a particularly bad year. And it was the Native Americans who kind of helped out with that. Now, granted, I don't know about that one. Half of those stories you hear about later, and it's like, yeah, that's actually a gross misrepresentation you were taught. Like, yeah, it checks out. Alright, $600 and something will get me the restock on the cards here, as well as some extras to pop open some cards and start looking so we can get back to doing some of that. But that was, we got another item on our shelves. And the good news is every one of these new items we're adding on our shelves is just that much more people can buy that is worth a good amount of money. So all of that will help us make more money in the future. Yeah, because pretty soon, like, we're selling cards worth about $2 right now. We got away from that, but yeah. That was another festival that's around that is Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is usually aligned with, like, Harvest Festival kind of things. Because, you know, it's for a lot of places October, November. November getting pretty late is your big harvest season for a lot of places. And so you can still have stuff in storage for November. The whole reason you have harvest festivals is, you know, you plant more than you need in case anything goes wrong, because the alternative is you plant less than you need or exactly what you need, which means you don't end up with enough. And then people starve to death. And that's kind of I understand starving to death is a little bit of a bummer. Generally frowned upon. So you grow more than you need. And so most years, assuming something hasn't gone tragically wrong, you end up with an overabundance of food. And especially when you go back in the day and refrigeration wasn't really a thing and all that extra food you had, it's literally just going to rot. So it's definitely one of those things that you would just have these festivals where people would just gorge on that food. And it was also a good thing for people to do because you're going into the winter, you've got your abundance now, it's good to fatten up before you go into the hardest time of year to keep food on the table. That way, if you do run into scarcity, that extra fattening up gives you a little bit more time before that food scarcity turns from this is inconvenient to this is dangerous. Gotta let some stuff go to seed. Yeah, that too. But it was just a strategic point of saying, hey, we've got this overabundance of food, we're getting into the hard time of year. Like, it's all gonna go to waste otherwise. You know, we can have a big party, people can overindulge in eating and all that, and it's genuinely good. Nowadays, you have refrigeration and all that changes most of that consideration, but traditions are traditions, and people still celebrate it, and it's still somewhat true. We still have harvest around the same times as we used to, we just can store food longer. And just the same, we still end up with an overabundance as well. I really need you to give me enough money to pop these packs. Let's see, you may or may not have grown up in a farm setting. Yeah, no, I didn't grow up in a farm setting myself. Like, we definitely drove out to the farms on occasion, but it wasn't close enough to make any claim of being anything around it. Like, for me, the big thing with the farms that we used to do when I was a kid is we'd go to the pumpkin patches, go get ourselves a pumpkin. Oh, that, and we'd go to the apple orchards and get cider. That was good time. I cannot explain to you the difference between fresh cider and cider you buy from the store. Those are not the same product. Like, they're not... They share a name, but they're about as similar as hard cider is to apple cider. They're just not even remotely similar. They're both made out of apples, and that's kind of where it stops. Be right back. Glade Plugins wants to sell you something. Glade Plugins would like to know your address. Alright. So good news is, we are getting all of our inventory topped off. Which means the extra money we're getting, we are keeping now. That's a lot of what we're doing is, I get a new product on my shelves. It takes a little time for that new product to, like, for me to absorb the cost of having that in my inventory. Because if I buy a new product and this shelf costs $600-700, that means the two of those cost me $1,400. That means there's $1,400 that I keep in my store from now on. So it's $1,400 I just need to have, like, on standby. Oh, nope. You keep doing your job, man. I want that box you have by your feet. Okay, I'll just back off. I'm sorry. I'll just let you individually put those packs on the shelf one at a time. You always get scared when Steam download finishes? Oh yeah, because it plays the same sound effect now that an achievement plays. So you get that chime, you're just like, what? You feel that? Sometimes the ads throttle the volume under Twitch's watch. Wakes you up and you fall asleep. The stream guilty here? Yeah. Well, that was, one of the things I brought up in discussion with Twitch staff when I was at, TwitchCon, was that, like, with the ads thing, it's like, I really wish Twitch would go, and as just a normal thing... Okay, those are the loose packs. I thought I had more boxes. So I probably need more boxes, what I need. Just buy it now. But, it is those things that I wish they would sit there and be like, hey, here is the volume you're expected to have your stream at. Like, in this basic range. Because they have literally everything they need that they could just have it where, while you're streaming, you can get a little flag that says, hey, your volume's a little loud, hey, your volume's a little soft, and then set the ads based on that. I would really like them to do that. Does at least you can support streamer and truncated income? Yeah, that's the whole thing. People just watching, hey, $33, that's a good one. Even if you can't afford to like sub or do anything like that, you still support the stream. Like both by being here, which boosts our viewer count, and that viewer count gives me more opportunity for sponsors. It gives me better positioning on the games page. It gets me more likely to show up in recommended. Like that all genuinely helps. But also, you know, you see ads in that page like, Bill, I can't turn the ads off. Like I could say pre-rolls or mid-rolls, that's my choice. But that is a way you are financially supporting me. And not last month, but it was actually the month before, so the number of subs has been down a bit for a while. But it was the other month where I had front page and everything. It was the first time that the ad revenue actually was my primary revenue, and I run the minimum amount of ads required to disable pre-rolls and not a second longer. But it was the first time I went there, I was like, wait, hang on. And that's because it was a very outlier month being on front page where you had 2,000-3,000 viewers and whatnot. That's a huge win. And $460 Lumi card. Love to see it. Don't be new. That's new. I was hoping it wasn't new so I would sell it. Gift alert still disabled? Yeah, I can turn that back on. Let me go ahead and do that. But thank you so much for the gifty sub. I really do appreciate it. There we go. And people are wondering, it's like, why did you turn off your gift alert? But thank you for giving the gifted sub, the very last 13 to Conrad. Conrad, now have yourself some nice advertisement-free viewing as well as access to the emotes, whether you wanted them or not. But thank you so much for that. Yeah, no, it's the whole thing that last month was September. Something was going on in the Twitch API, and it wasn't sending that, like, this person gave 10 subs. That event wasn't happening. Just the individuals who got it. So with the alerts, I couldn't detect that one first event to say, hey, thanks for the 10 subs, and then stop. So it'd be like, thank you for the sub, thank you for the sub, thank you for the sub, treating each and every individual sub as a thing. So I disabled the alert. 79 in a row. Yep, we had 79 in a row because we had a gifted sub of 29 subs, or sorry, 25 subs. And then Twitch threw a whole bunch of subs on top because of the September promotion. And that was like, that was the event where like, I gotta turn this off. Which again, super appreciate that donate, like the subs thrown at me and everything. Like, obviously that lets me keep doing this. But it was one of those things like, all right, I gotta deal with that. $519 card, the Decimite. Seven in one blow. Old Mouse Corp animation. Yeah, 25 subs, 5 gift subs, and 49 bonus subs on top of that. Yeah, no, it was an extreme outlier. It was one of the best ones I heard of people getting for just getting a bunch. Disney Mickey and the Giant. I must be missing it. It wouldn't surprise me if we went through a bunch of these creatures and then like some of them are clearly like referencing Pokemon. It also wouldn't surprise me if some are referencing Digimon. It wouldn't surprise me if some are like nods to Disney or whatever. Alright, so we finished that day. Cool. We can go here, open the store. But that way I can sell a couple of cards that are worth more than like $1. I've been worrying about restocking my shelves, and so that's been a whole thing. Okay, so I got 2 boxes of boxes, one which still needs to be put on the shelf. Got a box of those. I've only got one more card pack of the regular cards, so let's go ahead and get that added to the inventory. Gotta pay my bills. Alright. I got a box of the purple cards, which will not be enough to finish those shelves, so let's grab another box of the purple cards. All the dice seem fine, all the plushies seem fine. We can bundle ourselves a bit more things like this. Okay. Let's see. Wasn't that a book like the 80s? It was. The animation was something like The Brave Tailor. That vaguely sounds familiar. Definitely not the same thing as The Brave Little Toaster. How goes the collection? Any whoppers? We've gotten some pretty decent ones. The big one I've got is still, we've got the $1471 one. We've got a $1,100 one. We got a whole bunch in like the $600-700 range, $500 range. Yeah, so we got like a whole section now that the cheapest is $300. But yeah, so we're getting some pretty good ones. Gonna keep them all? Oh yeah, we gotta finish our collection. You sell them all? No, you see, I'm not trying to run a successful business here. I'm trying to fund a habit. I learned that trying to buy all the cards from the store was cost prohibitive. But if I'm the dealer, I can get all my stuff on the cheap. You sold a $14,000 card? Kinda wish you had kept it. Yeah, well that's the other thing, is I could definitely see you get the super duper rare card and you'd be like, okay, I could just skip ahead. Because like very genuinely, there is a real temptation to sell those cards and instantly give yourself $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 and then just expand your store. But then there's also another real possibility you just won't see that card again. It's not a good business to snort your own stock. Well, that's the beauty of it. We're not snorting it. Otherwise, I'd agree. We're just consuming it. Oh, here, we can top those off as well. Alright. So I definitely want to expand the store again. Oh, do you need more loose packs? Okay. So I need to go here, and I need more loose packs of these. And the purple we're fine on. The yellow we're fine on. Wonder why you haven't put that up there yet. Maybe just hasn't gotten to it. The dice we're good on. The plushies we're good on. But the Gamba? Top shelf open? Yeah, no, I need to get more product. Like I don't see value in making like all of this one merchandise item. You know, if I've got 120 cards on, or packages on the shelf, putting another 64 up here isn't going to make a big difference. Okay. So that's $1,200 for that last plushie. We can now unlock the big box for $1,500. That's probably worth doing. That's probably what we are gonna do, is we're gonna save up the $1,500 for the big box. And then get our legendary big boxes for sale so people can, you know, burn $100-something at a time buying one box. Okay, so you're finally stocking that. I think maybe this time my food has actually arrived. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to run downstairs real quickly because 2 might be getting our food here. So I'm going to quickly grab that and I'll be right back. So thank you again for tuning in. I'll be back in just a moment. I'll let you just see the shelves here and do their thing, and I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, sorry about that. The food hadn't arrived, but I went ahead and got, like, used the restroom while I was up and got everything ready. So now that Tomb can just take care of, like, bringing the food upstairs. We keep getting false alarms with, like, the door and all that. Because I was trying to listen so that she wouldn't have to do it all herself, and... It's gonna be here anytime, but it's not here yet. But it should just be the one bag. Let's see, Rual, you gave the new Arkansas... Let's see, you gave news Arkansas is real, your pops knew someone from there? No, that's a lie. He just thinks he knows someone from there. No one comes from Arkansas. No, I'm teasing. Arkansas is fine. Okay. How am I doing on time, by the way? Yeah, we're still plenty good. But the good news is I don't need to do, like, a long break and all that stuff. You live in a truly non-existent state, Ohio? Hey, man. Ohio is where some really good cheese comes from. The Amish know how to make some solid cheese. Arkansas? Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Very, like, not even trolling. It is Arkansas. Like, yes, I know there's a state called Kansas, and it's spelled the way it is. And you see the thing that makes it look like it should be Arkansas? It's not. It's Arkansas. No, it doesn't make sense. Arkansas? I don't think you pronounce the second S on it. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. And Ohio's America's leading provider of coal? Yeah. That said, I am glad that the need for coal is just going down more and more. You did not see it coming? Sir. I'm gonna need you to stop. How's shop training day? Did you get any valuable duplicates to sell? Duplicates? No, we've gotten some pretty solid cards. But our duplicates, we've only got a couple that were like $20 and $30 duplicates. I think we may have had one close to 50 as the best duplicate we've had so far. Alright, so let's see. So I've got the rare packs. Yeah, because I need the rare packs. We've got the blue stuff. I need the blue boxes. Alright, so we'll get 2 boxes of the blue boxes. And I need the loose blue cards as well. Cool. So you can go ahead and buy that. Alright, so in 1,000 I should be able to get the really big legendary boxes or whatever. Oh, I didn't need that. It's fine. It's those things, like getting an extra box I don't need, it's like, okay, but like really? It'll just be one day. And then I'll need to, like, then I'll just be sorted out. It's good to see you again, Longclaw. That was good to have you around. There's the rare pack. And that one's for the shelf. And this one is for the Gamba. 11 bucks. Come on, give me something good. Not getting much luck so far. Let's see, Rual, if you think Florida rednecks are wild, folks, from there they're more backwards than here. I literally have spent time in Ohio. If we're comparing Ohio and Florida, I hate to be the bearer of bad news between the two. Things get a lot worse down here than up there. No, Arkansas? Oh yeah, I have no idea about Arkansas. I was saying, it's like, I don't even remember Ohio being particularly that bad for people, you know. Hey, $79. Being wild and all that. Other than their football. People in Ohio get pretty extreme about football. No, kind of right. I've literally been to Ohio a bunch. I have family from Ohio. They're not there anymore. They did the whole get old thing. But how are you opening packs so fast? We have a couple of mods are running. Fast pack opening, auto set prices, and the light switch. We added those because every day I'm setting my prices to like market price plus a certain percent and then round. And so it wasn't a meaningful decision, but it was just getting tedious to do it every day. So I just grabbed the mod that just resets it, because it was a thing that will just get worse and worse and worse. Darth, I've run mods before. You watched me play Project Zomboid in RimWorld. I run mods. I'm just not someone who runs the giant mountain of mods every time. Alright. To be fair, you're doing that? Yeah. We got an $18 card. You think there's an in-game setting to opening card speed too? Yeah, no, I cranked that up, but getting it a little bit faster was good. It is almost one of those things that I could see later on disabling the, like, sound and animation unless it's valuable or unless it's, new. Like, just straight up when you pop the pack, it just pops open, it just goes to that last screen where it shows you a thing, it's like, new, okay, that one's like 1800 or whatever. Alright. Let's see, you live in Florida 10 years and Ohio 27, both have plus and minus. Exactly. Like, it's like, neither one of those were places I'm like, oh man, live in that one, how dare you. Other than Florida, don't live here. That isn't because I don't want you as neighbors, but no, genuinely, you don't want to be here. The humidity is like 80% all the time. The temperature is also like, other than like small glimpses in the year, almost always in the upper 80s, 90s Fahrenheit. And there's lots to unpack. But don't come to Ohio, the weather hates itself and everyone else doesn't know what to do. My remembering of weather in Ohio was it liked to be drizzly a lot. And it was reasonably humid. But, I do remember having to, like, deal with tornado concerns. I'll pass, you don't deal with hell heat? Yeah, I don't either. At least be in most northern parts of Florida if you do. Yeah, but then you gotta deal with the people who live in the northern part of Florida. They're made different. I'm teasing. You like to ride your gator to Publix and get the chicken tender pub sub and the orange juice yourself? Someone's been to Florida before. Someone knows what goes on down here. You've been through Ohio, you stress the through, lots of various vehicle parts on lawns. Felt at home. Yeah, no, there's definitely a thing about where in places you are. We actually had a tornado come through your yard a couple years ago. You almost slept through it? Yeah. No, when I was in Michigan, I definitely remember there was a day that I basically spent the day just in the basement because we just had like one tornado after another tornado after another tornado touching down in the area. It was like a very weird year. Like nothing that impacted us itself, but it's kind of like you get out of the basement when the tornado had passed, and like half an hour later to be like, oh, there's the sirens, get back in the basement, another tornado. Yeah, tornadoes stopped 6 buildings from work. 1 minute more and you'd had the day off. It's not the best way to get a day off. Let's see, you're like in your bedroom and didn't know the tornado happened until you woke up later and saw a tree down? Yeah. It's honestly surprising, like, what can happen outside and you not hear it. I must have been a low value card. Yeah, it was. So I got a new one there. It was honestly with this last hurricane that went through, where I got kind of a glancing blow on it, that we had to replace all our windows from past damage. And we're like, man, this really doesn't seem that bad. And we came to realize, like, oh, right, because we don't have the crappy single-pane windows that all houses here in the US come with. We have, like, actual windows on this house now. So it was, like, it was really nasty outside. It's just the windows weren't paper thin, so it was dampening the noise just a lot better. Let's see, do they give you an all clear once a tornado passes, or is it very obvious? You basically listen to, like, the weather report and everything, and it'll be like, okay, you know, because there's watch and warning, and so it's like when they're like, okay, you're no longer, I always mix them up. It was warning that there could be a tornado, and watch means they're watching a tornado, if I remember correctly. I always get it backwards, so I could be wrong in that. But it should basically watch, you'd wait for the weather to update and be like, okay, we're now in a, you know, the warning, which means, okay, cool, we're in a warning. Like, we just gotta, you know, be ready in case things escalate. So, man, putting hurricane windows in your house is one of the best things you've done. Saves on AC, and you don't have to put up the shutters. Oh, yeah, so we don't have, like, the full, proper, like, impact glass hurricane windows. We've got the stuff that's got, like, the plastic laminate in it. So it does, like, your windshield, where if something hits your windshield in your car, it spiderwebs, but it just kind of stays there. But, man, does that make a difference. Like, it cut down our power bill by a very measurable amount. I honestly wish that was just standard in houses here in the US. Be like, hey, get, like, an actual real window on this house. Which it's standard in a lot of other countries to, like, have at least double pane, if not better. And we'll get 2 of those. I'm gonna wait to actually buy. We've got all our dice stocks ready. I'm gonna try and put off buying those for a little longer. Actually, I need 3 of those. Because they only come 8 in a box, and each one of those shelves is 8. You live near the airport? Your windows are double pane? Yeah. The Florida also has a law that if you leave an elephant at a parking meter, you are not exempted from paying parking? Correct. You're also not allowed to walk an alligator on a leash. And I believe... Ooh, was it an unmarried woman wasn't allowed to skydive on Sunday? Was one of our local laws. And you also may not perform at a venue attired in a bathing suit. Or I think it may have had to have been a public venue. Because laws are weird. For the record, almost all those laws are just simply not enforced. Because, for real. It's technically, that may have changed, but it was law in here that if you are not married, you cannot live with someone of the opposite sex that is an adult. Like, you both can't be adults, unmarried, and living together. But, those are things that are on the books that no one enforces. That last one became a big deal because there was a guy who was, like, genuinely a scumbag that kept getting away because the police kept not managing to get evidence on them. And it was one of those things that they used that law to be able to search their house because he was technically in violation of it. And, you know, then they found the things they were looking for where they're able to get the evidence and use it to pin it down on the guy. But you have food? Food's amazing. But yeah, so they use the law as the pretense to go into his house.
This isn't your sponsored one yet.
No, it's not the sponsored one yet. The sponsored one will be in just over an hour. It's wonton-rific.
A fortune cookie?
Sure. Thank you. Alright. Because they're doing a sponsored segment at 11.
Looks like yours.
Thank you.
Want any soy sauce or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. How about this cookie?
No, those are fine. I appreciate it.
Love.
Love.
It's a cheese.
You can't make me make good streamies. Rual, your town has a law that you can't ride in a barrel down Main Street. Yeah, half those laws come to be because someone was doing something at one point in time, and they're like, okay, no, really, we're just gonna make this illegal. And it's a whole thing. Alright, so we need 700 bucks, but that'll let us get our really fancy purple boxes up here on the shelf. I'm also noticing I'm gonna need the purple packs of cards. Text to speech, you gonna do the thing? Text to speech? Well, I don't know what's going on there. Tornado watch means
Tornado watch means the right weather conditions. Warning means it's happening.
Okay, so I had it backwards. Yeah, TTS was just sleeping a little bit. You can't expect much more from Google. It doesn't know how to operate a technical business anymore. The brain drain is real. That was there was a whole report going on about a bunch of these companies moving to return to work or return to office. You know, like big companies like Google and Amazon, which I feel like so far of them, Microsoft has been the best about it so far as the big companies, because they were like, okay, here's the deal. As long as your productivity remains decent, you don't have to come back. But like, if your productivity starts to properly slip, then we can sit there and be like, hey, you gotta bring it back in if you're having problems working effectively from your home situation. And I think that's reasonable, as long as, you know, they don't just use ridiculous reports to pretend you're whatever. But that said, there was a whole big thing that they're talking about for like the top tier of technical people, where it used to be some of these big companies would be the ones that you'd find them at because they're willing to pay through the nose to get them. That they were finding more and more kind of like your very top talent kind of people, the most desired to go after technical people, were actually going to kind of mid-sized tech companies where they can get remote work and all that. So they are running in kind of a brain drain issue at a lot of these big tech companies where, because of all these policies they're using as a form of soft layoff, so they can do a layoff without the bad PR, what's ending up happening is all the people that are really the ones they want to retain the most are the ones leaving. Which, you know, shocker there. Alright. He just really wanted to interrupt you? Yeah, that's the reason I waited a minute, is like, okay, it's gonna interrupt me. But it'll be interesting how a lot of that pans out. Like there was, I don't remember, it was some like ex-executive, some major company came out and he was like, you know, there's no single more important thing for your business than having your leadership be able to trust its employees and back, you know, vice versa. Because without that, you're just gonna spend all your time not making progress in anything because you're gonna be busy putting in policies and all that are going to try to verify work and all that. And all of that's going to get in the way of actually doing work. And then, independent of that, there was like a whole survey where it was something like CEOs believe their staff trust them, and it was something like mid to upper 70%, you know, believe that their staff trust and think they're doing a good job. And then they pulled the employees at those same companies, so some like 20% said they thought they were doing a good job, like mid 20%. It's like, that is not good to have that big of a discrepancy between those two things. That is really not a good thing to have that much of a, you're just not on the same page. Alright, well this is a bit of a problem. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take that off the roster and try and quickly get that ordered, because I'm running out of stuff I need to have on the shelf. Trying to get enough for the next thing, which we'll want, but we'll wait for tomorrow to get that. You don't trust your CEO? like, I have definitely worked at a company where I feel like the CEO was trying their best, but did I trust him? No. Because the CEO is going to do what's best for the company and himself, not necessarily what's best for any individual employee. And that's a good CEO who would be doing that kind of thing, arguably. You know, making sure the company keeps the lights on. But still, for me as an individual, that still doesn't bode well for me. Let's see. You actually have a CEO this time, been through three years. Are they actually vested interest in rebooting the company? Like making the company improve? Yeah, like, you can have a good CEO, it's just... Trust... Like, as an individual working for a company, and you're saying, like, hey, I trust that the CEO is going to do what's best for the company. The caveat there is, that doesn't necessarily mean what's best for its people. You know, it's best for us interest because of capital sunk. You don't trust your county school board in general because they literally fired your mom after she had gotten hurt. Their own lawyer even said they shouldn't fire her. Yeah. I've seen a lot of places play that gambit and lose. Let's see. At least you know their goals are not dealing with are objectively stupid. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's like with a good CEO in that regard, you can at least sit with them and reason and be like, hey, I can show you that I am making you enough value to justify you keeping me. There's at least a negotiation that can happen. Versus, you know, when you're dealing with the kind of people who just at a whim kind of do what they feel like, think like kind of thing, there's just no working with that. Like, they one day decide that everyone needs to follow this new policy, and that's just what it is. I've definitely worked for people like that before. Okay, so we're gonna need a little packs. We got a little pack thing there. We're doing relatively okay on this. The dice are fine. Okay, so now let's try and get the big boxes in that I wanted to get in yesterday. So it's gonna be $700 something. I didn't pay my bills yesterday, so now it's gonna be a delay before I'm gonna get that gratification because I got bills to pay. Eventually got a job back at her seniority in her line of work and our benefits. Yeah, no, I've definitely been in more one place where someone got wrongfully terminated, and there'd be a couple weeks that they'd be gone. Thankfully, in those cases, the manager who fired the person also lost their, like, that manager was gone because they're like, you know, you wrongfully terminated this person and opened us up to a bunch of legal liability because of whatever petty issue you had. Like, we can't trust you to work your job now. It takes a while for that stuff to catch up, though, which is always the frustrating part. Alright. She thanked them. Did you use a different word than you meant to there? Because maybe don't use that word? It also doesn't really make sense in that context, even. Just gonna do this real fast. I need to adjust, because that's the moderator view. And the worst thing is, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to go down here and adjust my settings real quick. I know it happened. There we go. There we go. Just want to delete that message, because like I said, that term can be a slur. I know you weren't using it that way. And like, if it contextually made sense, sure, but in that one it was just like, why would you use that word? You got fired your last job for valid reasons, but also right after you were more honest with people asking how their dogs were doing. But also right after you were more honest with people asking how their dogs were doing. Gotcha. How far are we from the red packs? Oh, I think we're a good ways to the red packs, aren't we? Yeah, so technically I could unlock the legendary packs here in just one level, but I don't have access to the purple boxes yet. So I'd like to get access to the purple boxes, and then we can go for the red packs. Okay, I'm also going to need the yellow boxes. That's not what I want to do. I'm glad I didn't have the money to do it. I think it confirms anyways. Rare box. Is this game only on PC? I believe so. I'm pretty sure it is only on PC. It is early access and just came out early access. Usually console versions for the games are pretty heavily delayed. Let's see, imagine a tendency to lie to people and say their animals are doing great when they were just terrified, anxious messes who would get targeted by other dogs who see that they're scared and easily pick a fight. Yeah. Let's see, you're in corp training, imagine 400 on Teams call, when someone got fired for dropping both F-bombs and customers in the same sentence. They were politely removed from the training, but you knew their card was punched. Oh yeah, no, that's the whole thing. Your partner's a vet, you're not gonna tell them that. Yeah. Thank you, Boshi. Thank you for the extended vacation time. Yep. But yeah, that's true of a lot of games. Like, you have a lot of that's kind of one of the things that if you're someone who prefers console gaming, one of the unfortunate realities you're going to run into is if a game isn't specifically made for a console right at the beginning, it is just going to be a reality that 99% of the time, you're going to be stuck waiting anywhere from a couple of months to a couple of years for the game to come out on the console, if at all. A lot of them never do. Again, exceptions being like, if a game is primarily a PlayStation topic or whatever. It is kind of one of those things that it really undermines the value of consoles these days. Especially with like a lot of stuff that PlayStation's been doing. That like consoles are just getting more and more expensive, and you get games on a much higher delay. There's being far fewer exclusives for those platforms to justify pulling you into them. But at the same time, there is a very strong convenience to be had with consoles. You just plug it in, you say go, and it goes. But it's difficult. Curious to see if and when Satisfactory goes to console. I mean, if it does, I feel like they're going to have to do some massive overhauls to improve its performance for console. Because part of the reason we're able to play it on the PC is it can be a bit more, what's the word I want to use? They can get away with it not being necessary. Like, I'm not trying to say it's not optimized. It is really well optimized. But a lot of the stuff that the consoles, or a lot of things that the games do, are very computationally difficult. And that's a place that consoles have historically never really been good. So just kind of one of those things. Have you ever Onward and Upward? Hope for the best for Legged Friend? Yeah. Yeah, no, I've definitely heard a lot of not so great things about like doggy daycares and that. To be fair, regular old daycare was like that for a long time, till enough nightmare stories started coming out that, at least within like actually commercially recognized ones, they've got some pretty strict ruling and all that. You can still have the person who runs the daycare and gets away with it out of their house and all that, but usually once things catch up, they get shut down. Because a lot of those were real sketch. And I say that as someone who had family who ran one that I think adult me would have not been particularly happy about. Excuse me. Oh, you're just gonna get yourself sprayed there again. Like, how much stink do you have on yourself, man? You got like 3 blasts out of that thing and you're still going. Is the amount of the dogfights at your last job was ridiculous? Basically never got reported to the owners? Yeah. Yeah. And you get the business reason why they don't, because if you were leaving your dog in someone's care and someone's like, "Oh yeah, your dog is absolutely getting picked on and all that here," they're never coming back. And it's also one of those things that they're also animals, so it's not like you can, there's only so much you can do to be like, "Hey, dog, don't do that." Like, there's only, like, you're pretty limited on what you're able to do. Alright, we can go here and add more clear card sleeves on there. Let's see, you had a Newfoundland as a bit at least 5 workers before the owner was told anything. All redirect from trying to find another dog in the daycare. Yeah. Well, that's fortunately some of the good daycares. Usually what happens is, if your dog's a problem, your dog's not welcome back ever again. That's just it. Like, yeah, your dog's temperamental or whatever. Yeah, your dog's not welcome in the daycare. Till you start getting them trained or whatever. Nah, we can't have that. That's gonna be a no. Alright, almost $200. Yeah, having to pull around a 180-pound Newfie away from another dog as a 110-pound twig yourself was fun. Yep. Man, Automod is jumping on everything. Remember your first Newfie? A bear bounded toward me, hit me a deck and licked you to death? Yeah. Automod's like, deck? Licked? Absolutely not. I've saved everyone. I have protected you all from the deck and the lick. Meanwhile, somebody in your DM's like, you need to know what that word means. No. Alright, so we're gonna need those soon. I need you all to make me way more money. That's what I need, is I need you all to make me way, way, way more money. This, like, making a little bit of money here and there, not gonna cut it. I need you to be straight up printing cash for me. Which was yeah, JD. Let's see. It was hilarious at the time because there's a brick wall of a friendly dog. Automod jumping saying like, this contains I don't like French. I'm like, you know what? I can see why Automod triggered on that one. I can definitely see why, out of context, that would potentially be something. That would potentially be something problematic. Because it wasn't considering breeds of dog with that moderation. Probably a different life was a honey badger and a golden retriever software. Oh man, I remember my neighbors having a teacup poodle. We called that the attack poodle because it'd run up at you like it was this big fearsome dog, and you'd turn around and it would run away yipping. Used to have a lot of fun with that. Like, no, you're a big fearsome predator. No, look at you. Sir, we have been closed for like 15 minutes and you're just wandering in here. Don't you think about starting a game right now. Don't you do it. Legitimately like real customers. Exactly like real customers. Let's see, also trying to pull tiny dogs away from fighting each other. Terrifying. Give me some German Shepherds. Oh yeah, no, the little dogs, as fast as they can turn and like yip and nip at you, sure, you're not gonna get messed up real bad. But getting bit is getting bit. You know what? Your game's canceled. Get out of here. I don't see you around these places anymore. Alright, 508 in the bank. Yeah, the dog we had growing up was a white American Eskimo. Big poopy dog. Big old poopy dog that we had when we lived up north. Came with us down to Florida and that dog just shed. It's almost like long-haired dogs were not well evolved for dealing with tropical climates or something. I couldn't quite put my finger on. Alright, so we're still just waiting. I need to make a little bit more. We got all our bills paid today where we don't have to worry about it. Yeah, so we got our rare card packs. We got all these things popping in. Alright. You had 1250 dogs, something like that? Most animals you've had at the time, 8 dogs, a cat, some snakes, a lizard. Oh man. Like we usually only had like the one pet at a given time or anything like that. I definitely have friends that I grew up with who had like 4, 5, 6 dogs. And you sit there and you know they've got 2 or 3 kids running around and 5 or 6 dogs and 2 cats. I'm like, there's just too much life in this house. This is entirely too much life in this house for me. I need you to tone it down about 30 notches because I cannot take the amount of energy that is currently going through this house. Persistent chaos. Yeah, it's like how do you not have a permanent state of anxiety from the sheer energy that is going every single moment of every single day? The another thing about your description of his personality is actually on point in the terms of breed naming with dachshund meaning badger dog. What does the workbench in the corner do? Oh, it's the workbench in the corner. If I have a bunch of, like if we look down here, it's like if my cards are below $1 in value, and I have duplicates, I can set like all these different conditions. So it's like, apparently there's like Tetramon Destiny, Tetramon Ghost, Tetramon Base or whatever, but you can bundle 100 cards into a pack to sell for cheap. So that's what these are over here, is the bulk box. It's for all your cheap, crappy cards. Hey, whoa, Jess, thank you so much for the raid. Let me go ahead and hit the button to snooze the ads that are right about to happen. But, that shout-out timing. But yeah, so for those who don't know Whoa Jess, absolutely fantastic content creator. Been playing a lot of Satisfactory lately. And something that you can, like, really, really enjoy over there. Also plays, like, RimWorld, a bunch of other good stuff. Fellow member of the Halcyon Frequency stream team and all that. But thank you so much for that raid. I really do appreciate it. Rual has been assimilated by the trading card game, card shop simulator. Yes, we are slowly growing and expanding our game. It's interesting. Well, first of all, go follow Wojess. Can I get a shout out for Wojess, by the way? Because I know the other shout out had to time out before we could do the next one. But if you haven't, that's interesting. That's the first time I've had it mark the person who rated me as a raider from the channel that rated me. Oh, Twitch, never change. 42 seconds, no problem. Once it's off cooldown, if you can do that. But yeah, because definitely check out Wojess. Really fantastic content creator. If you like Satisfactory, if you like RimWorld, or you like anything like that, definitely have a good time over with Wojess. Very fantastic content creator. One of the ones I tune into the absolute most before I start my own stream. So definitely comes highly recommended. Also, if you've seen my factories in Satisfactory, like, I make the factory that actually, you know, it does a pretty good job making stuff, but it really doesn't look good. Wojess's factories look really nice. They are really aesthetically pleasing factories. Like, you just watch it like, man, I am jealous. All of the conveyor belts extremely cleanly organized, everything painted up to look nice and all that. I would love to do that. I'm not sure I am capable. Jess's factories are the opposite. They do nothing, but they look gorgeous. Hey, they do something. Some of us rush through games, and some of us make our games look good. I distinctly saw some iron getting done earlier today. But yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic factory. But yeah, it takes forever though. It does. Like that is one thing I'll give. It definitely, like, the amount of time you put into the stuff is a lot, but I mean, it's really cathartic. And it looks amazing. Mine just look like a bunch of iron platforms that I just slap conveyor belts and stilts on. And occasionally it doesn't look awful. Just sometimes. Wish you could see it, but you can't tune in. Oh, is it just like too early in the day or something? But yeah, I mean, that's what VODs are for. But yeah, that's actually one of the things I was watching. I was watching one of Drongo's VODs earlier, and just people kept saying things. You went to go into hop into chat to respond, and just, you know, it wasn't live. You alert, Solantre got some foods for me. I got my foods right here. You're barred from entry. Yeah, you don't need to announce if you're, like, banned from a channel, because, you know, if you got banned from a channel, there's probably a good reason for it. Just saying. Like, everyone has their different places they have their limits and all that. You do that every time you watch a VOD. It's so easy to fall into that, where you go to, like, oh yeah, like, this person asked this question, let me just answer it. Oh wait, never mind. It's a VOD. But you feel bad about too? I mean, it is what it is, man. Like, it's one of the reasons I make the comment about try your best to think about what you say before you say it. Because once you do something that goes past a line that gets you banned from a channel, that's usually it. You know, you can do your ban appeal and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of where it's at. And people are 100% justified if they decide, you know what? No. Because I'll tell you, when it comes to ban appeals I think in the entire time I've been streaming, I've approved 2. I mean, to be fair, the vast majority of the ban appeals are people hitting the ban appeal and then just, like, cussing me out or whatever. And you're just like, why are you wasting your time on this? Like, this is time you are losing out of your life doing this, because I'm just gonna hit no and it takes me no time at all. But yeah. No, it's a thing. You just move on, man. I believe we have the clear things already on my list here. Because we're waiting for money to be able to put in this big order. At which point I'm going to get some new merchandise as well as a restock and everything. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. Because it definitely feels like when you're comparing this against like Supermarket Simulator, which is where your mind immediately goes with this game's comparison. This game adds a lot of interesting mechanics to make it a lot more interesting and whatnot. There's just way more mechanics to have fun with and less tedious ones. But if you're actually talking about the speed of progression in the game, this is slower than Supermarket Simulator in its progression. But at the same time, it doesn't feel bad. At least with concurrently streaming and not able to deal with the limited data evaporation. Oh yeah, for checking VODs on YouTube. What's also the nice thing about VODs on YouTube is when you're talking about VODs on Twitch, like, oh, I could actually afford it. Like VODs on Twitch, even as a partner streamer, they only stay so long, and then they're just gone. So this is kind of one of those things that if you want something to last, you either need some type of like remote storage or whatever, or you got to put it on YouTube or whatever. And like putting it on your hard drive and all that just isn't something that works that well, because it is ridiculous so far as how much space stuff takes. Like that's it's not gonna happen. I had always intended to one day go back, edit up the run from Jeremiah Weiner on YouTube, which is like my world record run Project Zombie. I still got all the VODs for it and everything, like saved and all that. Well, actually, most of that. And it's just one of those things that's just so much data that's just like, yeah, I mean, it's literally thousands of hours of footage I'd have to edit. It's just like, no, that's just never gonna happen. It'd be nice to do that, but it's just not gonna happen. Alright, so our new merchandise is the big boxes up here. I'm gonna take one of those boxes for myself. This box is mine. Cheap card. So not much there value. $23, decent. And I haven't opened many of these packs because they're expensive. So we're gonna see lots of new cards in this. Mostly I care about stuff of value versus all these like 50-cent and 20-cent new cards no one cares. So yeah, it's always easier said than done that your friend streamed our D&D campaign from 2018 and 2020. It said he'd put the VODs on YouTube. Never happened. Well, that's part of why I stream to YouTube directly, is because uploading the VODs afterwards is such a time sink. Like an absolute time sink. I used to do that. Like, I'd upload almost every single stream onto YouTube after the stream. But, like, it would just take hours to, you know, go ahead and do that, get uploaded. If I streamed and the stream went for more than 12 hours, now I wasn't even allowed to upload it to YouTube. I had to break it up into multiple parts, which means I had to encode it, which would add additional hours into how long it took. So the fact that my stuff does get to YouTube now because I stream to both directly really does make a huge difference. Okay. So we've got that sorted. I need figurines, another one of those. Because we got those all situated. Oh, we've got boxes of all the dice. All those are fine. We've got all those are all good. Okay, you need more of the individual cards. Well, the individual packs. You don't blame your friend at all for doing it. There were more than 60 sessions, minimum 4 hours, some a lot longer. Yeah. Is this Discord not working for anyone else? It looks fine to, yeah, no, it's working for me. I'm able to like peek back and forth and all that kind of stuff. Interesting. Oh, in the browser? I don't think I've ever used Discord in the browser, other than to join a Discord. Alright, so I don't have enough cards to do a bundle. Alright, once they finish their shopping for today, we gotta figure out what our next purchase is. Now, I would really like to... Because, like, right now I've just been adding to our licenses and all that. I kind of want to wait on going for, like, the legendary ones until I can just get the bigger packs. What's also interesting is we can get the Earth Battle Deck and these licenses. Those are $1,000. Accessory-wise, I can start getting these other card sleeves. That could be interesting. The figurines, we've got the bat I can get. I've already got shelf space for it, so that might be what we do. $1,200, put the bat down there. So you're using the program app for the new gen. Totally streaming your Satisfactory Spaghetti to your partner right now? Gotcha. We need you to get up, please. We're closing. Get out. Final purchases or leave. That's what you get for starting a game right as we're closing. Did you make your purchases and get out of here? There's always that customer. You're like, I want to go home. My shift's over. We get yelled at because I'm not supposed to get overtime. Alright. So current order we have $520. See, I wonder if there's a mod to stop stalkers from throwing out empty boxes. You like to use them for the bundle boxes? Bulk boxes? Oh, maybe. I feel like that's a niche of enough thing that I'm not sure people would make a mod for it. Usually you have to have enough people who want to do it for it to happen. Or the right person to want to do it, I guess is also fair. Yeah, we can pay our bills. Okay, so we want the Epic Card Packs and the Nanomite plushies, which is that. So 1,200 is my next big unlock. Excited he's seeing 3 Froggos? Cool. Moving item individually by hand is a nightmare. Yeah, no, it's almost one of those things that when you want to move something, you buy a new box of that thing, go to the new shelf, drop it off, take that thing over to the first shelf, pick it up, and just repeat the process till it's moved. It's nice because putting the bulk boxes in cardboard boxes lets stalkers stock the bulks. Ah, I see. I hadn't thought about that. Meanwhile, let's do this again. It's something I've been trying to do more and more. Is every day adding on a couple of the boxes for up here. And then if I end up with extra of those boxes, then we just tear them open to get some more cards. Because what we're doing is we're selling all our packs and all that. We're honestly hitting a point with the store where I'm probably going to need another register soon. How much can I get another register now? Okay, so I can technically get another register for 1,500. The game still hasn't told me what the difference is between like the giant auto center, this auto center, and the little one. I do wish the game was better about that kind of stuff. Holds up to 4 clenches. Oh, it needs to be refilled less often, I'm guessing. I mean, that's something. Okay, we've already got the loose epic ones there. And I will need the loose rare ones if we don't already have those on there as well. Yeah, we got those as well. More potent smelly thing? Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Right now, these require 2 sprays to make someone not smelly, which is why I've got 2 of them, so that way they get hit by both of them on the way by. And if I could get the big machine that takes just 1 go, then that makes it worthwhile. But if it's still 2 goes, I'm like, okay, it's just a mild convenience. Not necessarily sold on it. Alright, so let's see here real fast. We've got $800 and all that. But as a reminder for the stream, we're starting out with this. We've got ourselves about 45 minutes left of this game, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have an ad segment, or a sponsored segment, not an ad segment, a sponsored segment, where for about an hour and some change, we'll be playing a game called Business Heroes Street Grub. That is, if you've ever seen Lemonade Tycoon, it's kind of a spiritual successor to that game, but you run food carts. And it's just kind of one of those things, well, food trucks, I guess is the word. But it's kind of one of those games that you start with like your little cart, you go and you choose your things that you sell, you figure out your location, you price it out, and it's got a lot of depth. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It is only the demo right now. Their goals are trying to get people to wishlist the game because that can be very beneficial for an indie game to get a whole bunch of wishlists. That's a great way to get yourself some footing, get yourself better position on Steam. The game isn't yet for sale, but it's looking pretty good. We'll play that for about an hour and a little bit, and then when that's done, we will do a poll on whether we're going to be playing Satisfactory or we're playing more of this. Let's see. Honestly, contrary to all your customer service training, you want to blast them from as many directions as possible. I mean, the reality is, if someone comes stinking a BO, you're not just going to go up and spray them with deodorant and be like, okay, we're good now. Most likely you're going to tell your customers, like, hey, that's not acceptable. You need to, like, go get yourself some deodorant. Like, sorry, but you smell funky. Assault charge now entering the discussion, basically, because you never know what allergies and people that are going to have, so maybe the person has difficulty with like a bunch of stuff, like can't get, silver on them or whatever, and so a lot of the really good deodorants just don't work and yada yada yada. But at the same time, it is fair if someone is like really to the point it's disruptive to your store and all that, being like, hey man, look, I don't know if you got to shower before you head over here immediately or whatever you got to do, but I can't have you smelling like that here. Like, there's a limit of what's socially acceptable. All right, and if we look at our cards, we got some good ones here. I got a $1,400 card, a $1,200 card, and then the rest of these are mostly like $700 to like $600 area. So we've been getting a good collection. Unfortunately, not as much as I need for selling. BO Buster cleaned 500 smelly customers. Is trading card game players notorious or BO? I don't know what you mean by SM, but yeah, no, it is a thing that I can't speak for nowadays, and it wasn't just trading card players, but just, people who play like tabletop, trading cards, all these things. There are individuals in that area who just kind of don't have basic social decorum under their belt. That it was a thing, you'd go to tournaments and all that, and there'd be the one person who was like super ripe. Because I definitely remember running into that all the time when I went to the local card shop and comic shop, and there were definitely people who they woke up, no shower, no nothing, probably slept in their clothes, came in and just really didn't know how to take care of themselves. And it's not to say there's like some majority or anything like that. It wasn't like, oh man, that whole group, how dare they. It was a small number of them. But it's just one of those things when you're walking around those stores and you got someone who is that ripe, and it's just such a big thing that like you can notice them pretty much anywhere even remotely close to them. You can detect their presence. All right. But yeah, like I said, it's not a thing that when that happens, you don't have the staff come in and blast them with deodorant. That'd get you in some real trouble. What the staff would do is be just like, hey, you can't come in here like that. Sorry, man. Thought I bought like a whole extra box. Oh, I was gonna eat during the ad break, but I totally missed it because I got distracted. Which is nothing new. Just a gentle misting of deodorizer. Yep. Like, it was a thing that a lot of those stores would literally have, like, sent things. Hey, $18, that's not bad. A lot of those places would literally have, like, air fresheners throughout the place trying to deal with it. You got $11. Cool. Which I'm guessing that's what these are meant to be, is like the equivalent of, you know, some Febreze spraying thing or whatever. Just to, like, mask the smell. Alright. And we got some more cards to do. Like, that's the thing. Is the store doesn't, like, visibly hasn't changed much in the last couple of days. But it is one of those things, we have a whole bunch of shelves that weren't quite full of merchandise. Like, we didn't have the star things earlier, we didn't have those earlier. We didn't have those boxes earlier. So we are just expanding our merchandise offerings. But it's not super noticeable. But that's a lot of how this game has worked, is that you make slow and steady progression. What I'd like to do is I'd like to have enough space to put some warehouse shelves, so that way instead of having boxes scattered on the floor everywhere, I could start having dedicated warehouse space and be like, here's all the cards on this part of the warehouse, here's all this on this part of the warehouse. So that way, instead of having to run around and check the shelves, I can just go to the warehouse and be like, okay, is there extra boxes of all these? Yeah? Cool. If there's extra boxes out here, that means we're good. If there's not extra boxes, it's time to top. Oh yeah, the downside is I probably would need something like 3 warehouse shelves to accommodate the variety of goods. Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different products. So if we check, it's not here. If we check if I choose the right thing, so we check, I'd want the big warehouse shelf. Yeah, so it can carry 8 goods. I would need 2 of the big warehouse things. That's $2,000. I do think it's worth doing, but I think I'm gonna make my store bigger before we can make it happen. You have 9 big warehouse shelves at this point. Oh man. This place is going to have to get way bigger before I can justify 9 of them. 2 of them would be easily justifiable. I just got to get that money. And then once I get the money, then I need to buy that much more of my products to put on the shelves. But then I could spare myself having to keep an eye on the shelves and all that. Alright, I'm gonna need to get myself some extra boxes soon. Okay, so let's look here. So I've got... So look at our inventory. I need the loose cards. And like I said, I'm gonna make it a habit of buying these boxes every day. And then we need some loose cards of these. You've got some spares here. And you're all good. Now we can try and keep our cards all stocked. The downside is those cost a decent amount of money to do that. You actually have 8 spaces you currently don't use on them. But like 1 or 2 warehouse shelves of each type. So everything is sorted logistically. Gotcha. I mean, it makes sense. You build like the 1 warehouse shelf, and it would be all of the cards, and then it'd have 2 spots left over. And then have like a separate shelf for all my not card stuff. So all this would be 1 shelf and have 1 spot. And then have a 3rd shelf that would probably actually put the spray on that shelf. These I wouldn't bother. And then we'd probably start like a 3rd shelf that'd be like all the sleeves and whatnot. So just waiting for them to ring up that transaction. See if these 2 get out of here. And all that. And I probably have enough time for 1 more in-game day. Which what I might do is when we get to the part of the day where it's progressing around, I might take a quick like 5 minutes while it's going, mute my mic, and eat some food real fast before we get to the sponsored segment. Yep, $434 or $36 thing. The big thing when I'm looking at is that our revenue, it's almost as these 3 here is what I care about. Is that we're getting cash in our pocket that isn't pre-allocated towards like salary and all that. Pay our bills. Buy stuff for our shelves. Okay, so these are spares. And that's the reason I'm buying, like, the boxes every day. Because then these are also spares. So that way I'm opening at least some cards to keep some cards coming in here. Yeah, so we got a lot of spare cards we can go through today. Okay, well, let's get to work. I'm gonna be doing the hard job here, guys. Don't worry. You all do your thing, but I'm doing the real hard job here. I'm opening packs. Honestly, in real life, sitting here, like, being in the back room and just opening the packs again and again and again would get tiresome. All right, 12 bucks. You'd also have, like, anything but, like, the very best card to be like, oh, it's just another $50 card, whatever. It's so annoying when 2 Lords walk in together and one dodges the auto center because they recharge time. Yeah. All right. Come on. I need a good card. Give me something really good to sell. I want a good, like, $400 or $500 card or more that I can drop off. I mean, it's $20, but it's new. The good news is every time I get one of those that's new, the next time I see it, it's not new anymore, so I know I can sell it. But see, the thing, the real hard is not wasting your own stock on opening stuff 100% of the time. 20 bucks. Well, I mean, it's one of those things that you have your front displays at a lot of those card shops, so I'd usually try and keep, it's probably between the displays 20, 30, 40, 50 cards or whatever. I feel like all you'd do is you'd just open enough packs so you had something worthwhile up there. I imagine if you want to stay into business for more than 30 seconds, you wouldn't just be sitting out in the back, popping over one case over to the other, just in the look for whatever. Because you would realize that this is effectively gambling in the sense that most likely, unless you're really going for every single penny you can get out of these, you're probably not going to turn a profit by just opening a giant mountain of packs. Like you're gonna need a dedicated storefront to do it, and to take the time to actually sell that merchandise, which is the key. Even if you get some good stuff, it will take a time from the time you get the card to actually move it, because you gotta find the right customer. It's probably one of those things like a genuine, like if you pulled a $2,000 or $3,000 card out of a thing, most likely you wouldn't try and sell it in your store. You wouldn't just have it in the glass display. Most likely you'd go to like an online auction kind of thing or something like that. You know, you'd put that out there where someone could try and go after it where you can get much higher price. It's probably only like, you know, maybe a bit over $100, maybe $200 you might try and sell in store. Past that, the likelihood of someone walking in ready to drop $500-600 bucks on a card in your given store, unless like you're a specialty store or something like that, they're like world famous for rare cards. Most likely you're going to an online auction. You'd probably also get better money from an online auction anyways. Once you start getting to that level of rarity. Alright. Not getting a whole lot of winners, unfortunately. Because it does stop on cards of high value. And we've only had a couple. They're also getting really low. Hey, there's one. 22 bucks. You've only been getting a couple of new cards. Sooner or later, I'm going to need to start getting the real expensive boxes in there, too. Wonder how we're doing so far as, like, completing our collection. Yeah, so we're having a big card opening day. Trying to restock for, our display shelf over there. Because selling cards at $2 a piece isn't really a good use of my time. But I need high dollar cards to make it worth my while. We're gonna get some bulk packs sold, that's for sure. $31, I can live with that. So you do wonder how the game decides what to buy? Oh, like, the customers, like how they prioritize and all that? I'm willing to bet literally it's just an RNG on the characters that they randomly choose a good to walk up to. Or have some, like, prioritization, but they RNG between those things. And go from there. Okay, so we need the boxes and the loose packs for that. Alright, chat. It's time we do Big Gamba. No Little Gamba, it's time we do Big Gamba. I bought the big epic box. Because we're getting low on these. And I got ourselves a spare. And then this is the we're opening it for ourselves box. Alright, I want to see good stuff. It's new stuff, but it's not good stuff. Not even a high value card yet. Because I gotta check to see what even the price per pack is on these. So that way I know like what dollar value I have to hit before it's worthwhile. Let's quickly check that. So, if we look at this, so we get 8 boxes out of here for 240 bucks. And each box is 8 cards, so 8 times 8. I don't want to do the math. 64? Is that right? 64 packs of cards? I mean, that's still not bad. It's a couple of bucks per pack, like $2-3. So honestly, we probably don't lose any, like we probably almost never lose money on it. It's just a matter of do we actually get, hey, 23 bucks. That's our first high value card. Yeah, so it looks like if they're only like 3-4 bucks a, you know, a pack of cards, anytime I get one worth 5 or more, I'm making money. Let's see, 3.75 per unit epic card pack. At your prices, the boxes work out to about $3.66 per pack. So it's better open boxes. Yeah, no, I recognize it was worth opening the boxes a while back. So we got a $35 one. That's good news. I also don't know if we're getting all of the cards, like what the strategy is. Because my understanding of how these packs work is they guarantee all the cards to be of a certain rarity, but the rarity doesn't necessarily mean value, because if it's a crappy card at a high rarity, it may not have much value to it. Versus if it's a card that's either extremely useful, extremely rare, or it's just a card that, like, you know, people particularly like the art or the character or whatever, it could be higher. So 10 bucks. Like, that's in real life. I don't know about the game mechanics. Alright. I have a problem. I can stop anytime I want. $15. So yeah, honestly, it's probably worth it just to open that one. There's also the issue of, is it worth my time to sell these cards? The packs might technically pay for themselves back in value, but it doesn't mean you're realistically going to put a 50-cent card on your table just for that. Yeah, so then you put in like the bulk thing. Personally, I only sell cards worth 10 or more. I could definitely see where you get up to that point. Like right now, I'm not quite there. I'm selling cards at around 5, 6, 7 bucks. But as you got the higher and higher value decks or packages, you get a higher frequency of high value cards. That would make it way easier to justify. I also wonder how long a day is in this game, like in actual real life minutes. You know, not counting anything that pauses your game. All right. Yeah, so we're doing like a big card opening day real fast. Because I'm tired of selling stuff for on the discount. I also want to potentially find something good. And we're also getting a lot more progress in our card collection. 22 bucks, that's not bad. That'll sell. $3. I could definitely see turning off or down a lot of these sound effects for not valuable cards. Alright, getting close to the end of the box. 18 bucks. Let's see how many of these are actually duplicates on the other side, though, because a lot of them weren't because we haven't been opening this rare. Because I want to say, it seemed like the basic packs could contain everything. It's just the odds were terrible. Versus these ones seem to contain nothing but the higher rarity cards. Yeah, that's exactly what they are. They're just all, every one of them is considered epic. $10. This might be the last one. So nothing amazing so far. A couple of good ones, a bunch of new ones. But nothing that broke $100. Basics are baby monsters. The next up are rare monsters. And next evolution up, yep. Okay, so good news is I did get a couple of these that are a bit more valuable. We got a $22 card in there. But then already we dropped down from that to like $9 real quick. All right. And I intended to quickly eat something while that day was going on. And then that didn't happen. Because I opened cards the whole day. Alright. So we did make some decent money. Okay. So I don't think we're going to get through this whole day before I have to switch over to the sponsored segment. But I'm going to start this day. And we're going to get going because I don't think I want to try and milk out 20 minutes before the sponsored segment. Waiting on that. We're pretty close to being able to get the next figurine, which is $1,200 to get this shelf filled up. At which point then all my shelves are full. And we start expanding our store. And I did mention before, I do think I want to get the warehouse shelves, which isn't going to help me on the immediate. But getting the warehouse shelves will make it a lot easier for me to keep track of my inventory and auto stock, and I won't have piles of boxes everywhere. The store actually does gain a decent amount of size quickly, because each one of my segments, like this is like $300, that was $400, this will be $500, $600, you get the idea. So, relatively speaking, your store gets bigger pretty quickly. Not too awful of an expense. But it does add up. And all that. So, I'm going to quickly mute my microphone. I'm going to eat this soup real fast while we're waiting, and I'll be right back. Alright, just need to eat something real quick. Okay. So we're getting pretty close to our 1500. Was it 15 or 1200? 1200. To be able to do the next part. Again, the next figurine and whatnot. What we'll do is like 5 or so minutes before I need to switch over. Like it's not that I'm set in stone. I have to start this at 11. But I'm going to. because it just makes my time tracking easier. One moment. Sorry about that. But yeah, so we'll do the switch over. But I do hope to be able to get as far as we can in the day. We're doing good progress. We might actually get through the day before I switch over. It's going to be close. But yeah, and as I mentioned before, when we switch over, check card prices for sale. What do you mean? I mean, I got one for 26. You're saying adjust it? We did get a mod that automatically adjusts stuff to be marked 10% over market, just because like going through every other day and going to each and every item being like market value plus, you know, round, that kind of thing, was super tedious. And every item I add to the store just adds another thing I gotta do to that. So we do have a couple mods running now. We do have one. Oh, you thought you saw one that had it? No, it'll blink that for just a second when I do that before it sets. Yeah, no, because we did get that mod. I ran without the first day, and it was just like, okay. Within a matter, like, within the course of, like, one stream, it was like, I'm tired of resetting these prices. Like, it'd be okay if the prices went up and down, and you could just kind of set a baseline and be like, alright, well, that's gonna be okay-ish. I would be alright with that. Or if it wasn't a lot of mobility, or if it's one of those things that when you started the day, it did like Supermarket Sim where it just like put up in the corner, said like, hey, this is up, and that's down. You can find out what's changed by going here. But it's just one of those things that, like, you can see all of them have numbers. It's just like, that's just too much. Like, that is too much to deal with every day. Like, you start your day and go, let me go through the entire inventory and adjust the prices. Because ultimately what you're going to do is you're just going to go like this. You go here, you hit market price and change it by how much. Can you set the profit margin? No. You can set the price and it tells you what you'll make in profit on it. That's probably one of the only things I'd be like, yeah, that probably needs to change. Because especially with like individual cards and all that, there's just way too much. Oh, the mod? Yeah, with the mod you can go in here and say set auto prices. I can say like, hey, you know, set these on the certain day, mark everything up, what the percent markup is, round to the nearest. You can do all that stuff. There is where we have the light switch where it just turns on the lights at 4 so I don't have to do it manually. And that just speeds up the speed at which the packs open. Like, it doesn't change like how much you can carry or anything like that. It just, when I open the packs, the animation plays faster. Alright, so for the figurine, I see. Tricky. So this one we don't get as many plushies. So it's 6 per shelf. Alright. Yeah, so just one of those things, it's definitely one of those ones you can get yourself in trouble because it looks like you don't need more. Alright, so you're all fine there. We'll need the other dice, but first I want to just get the plushies knocked out. The good news is it seems like per item that these plushies might not be as bad as some of the others. The bad news about it, though, is when you're looking at those plushies, they just don't come in nearly as big of boxes. So you gotta buy more individual boxes for the same amount. Yeah, and I need 601 bucks. And with that, then all of our shelves are full. And then our next move will be to expand the store along this wall on my left. And then I gotta decide how I want to do the shelves. Because like I said, I do think it's worth me going out of our way to get the 3 warehouse shelves I'll be required to accommodate all of our goods here. And maybe that's how I'll move forward, is like, after that, I can go till the warehouse shelf fills up, and then I gotta go get another warehouse shelf, and we'll just have to expand the store to accommodate all that. Alright, so we can grab you. And already back down to $3 cards. Can't say we don't move inventory. Alright, as soon as we sell that, I should be able to buy the, get the order and stock everything up. Oh! You only fit a 2 on a shelf? I understand now. Oh no, it's 3 on a shelf. Still. Yeesh. What's the highest value card we have in the binder? It's about 1,600 bucks. Alright, so in the future I don't need nearly this many bats. I didn't realize they took up that much shelf space. They got 2 extra boxes for what I reasonably should have probably gotten. That's okay. It just means they will sell and we will, you know, not have to resupply in a while. Yeah, so the highest price card we have in the binder right now is I got this one here for $14.88, and I got that one there for $12.63. And then these ones, they range from like mid 700s till we get down to about 400 towards the end of the first page. So we're doing pretty good. There's no penalty for just throwing boxes all around the store? Not that I'm aware of. And I'm not even doing that for the most part. Most part, it's the stock guy. The stock guy will, like, he'll fill up the shelf, and then he just drops the box in the floor.
Thank you Rual for subscribing for 21 months. Good evening, Rual.
Thank you, Ronger, for the tier 2 sub. I really do appreciate that. You didn't just get a tier 1 sub, but tier 2, and you've been supporting the channel for 21 months, so going above and beyond, both in the tier of support and doing it for a long time. So thank you so much for that. It really does mean a lot, and I really do appreciate it. I do hope you've been enjoying the stream, as well as your advertisement-free viewing and access to the emotes. So thank you again for that. The penalty is time wasted checking to see how much stock there is. Yeah, that's what it's saying, is I should probably get the warehouse shelf soon. Alright, so we got the bigger box of that. And while we're on it, we'll get the loose ones of this. And that. Alright. But if you have no warehouse shelves, he probably drops them where he is too. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We just need to get warehouse shelves, but the ones I would want is I'd just get the big ones at 1,000 each, so. That's a whole thing. Alright, so. We're gonna basically get to the end of the day. And I'm going to take a quick, like, minute or two to pop into the restroom, do that real fast, get everything switched over for where we're going to do our sponsored segment for the stream, where we're going to be checking out Business Heroes Street Grub, which is a tycoon-style game. Think of Lemonade Tycoon, but food trucks. Should be a lot of fun. I've seen a couple other people mess around with the game, and it's looked really, really good. So we're going to be checking it out. It's only the demo, so it'll only be about an hour, after which we're going to have a poll. To either play more of this or for Satisfactory, so I really would appreciate if people did stick around for that, because obviously if people are paying me to play a game and a whole lot of people see it, that makes the sponsors happy and more than want to sponsor us, and it is a really good way to support the channel, because then you're not even supporting the channel with your own money, you're getting someone else to support it. But, and all that stuff. Yippee? Do you mean yippee as in we're switching game to the sponsored segment? Because, I mean, honestly, to me, the game looks really good from what I've seen. Like, I like a good tycoon-style game. Yay, we did reach the end of the day. So I'm just going to immediately say, hey, all of you, get out of here. Scooch. Day's over. Leave. New game, you love Tycoon? Oh yeah, no, it's just like the yippee 3 dots. Usually when you follow someone with 3 dots, it's not, sarcastic's not the word. It's like, oh, yippee. Like, that's the way that can come across. So that's the reason I was like, what? Alright, so I want to quickly do that. And all that. Yeah, disappointing type thing. Exactly. Like, it's not sarcastic, but it's like, oh, okay, that kind of thing is the way that's usually perceived. And for the record, I tend to use the 3 dots a lot, even when I mean it outside that context. But that's why I asked to, like, clarify it. Not that I would have, like, banned you or something because you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like something I'm interested in. It's like, nah, that's fair. Alright. You use 3 dots a lot, too? It's a very common thing. It's a showing of, like, that you're pausing to think about it or whatever, but it can't reflect in what manner. Alright, so this guy gets out of here. We'll save our game, and like I said, I'll take a quick little short break just to use the restroom, do all that stuff, get set up for the sponsored stream and all that, and get going. Well, if you type yippee, you may be taken as not being interested. I wouldn't take it that way, but here's the things. But so you actually had a mod change a channel's auto mod settings pertaining to links because you used it so much, kept getting your things deleted. I can absolutely see that. All right, so there's Cardtastrophe. So I'm going out of my way to save on something other than the autosave because it can delete that. All right, so what's going to happen here, chat, is I'm going to take a quick, like, 2-3 minute break while I quickly use the restroom, grab myself a new drink, get things set up for switching over to the sponsored segment, and it'll be all that. For those watching on YouTube, the stream will come down and will come back up when we switch games. That's just how it works over there. But with all that said, thank you for tuning in so far, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes.